Okay, welcome folks, and thanks so much for joining us tonight on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. You're listening to Macon Mayhem Hockey on SPHL Live, powered by Endeavor Streaming, and on YouTube this evening. Alex Von Coytel, the voice of your Macon Mayhem. Thrilled to have you with us here for what should be another exciting tilt. The Mayhem squaring off against the Pensacola Ice Flyers at home on home ice for the first time this season. It's a bit strange that the Ice Flyers have not played here yet, considering how often they face off against the Mayhem. Tied with the Fayetteville Marksmen in terms of how often the Mayhem face them for the most in the SPHL. This is the first of 5 contests between these two sides at the Macon Centreplex. It's a rivalry that dates back for as long as the Mayhem have existed, and the first season in which the Mayhem were in the SPHL, Pensacola won a championship. The Mayhem would win it the following year, and when Pensacola won that President's Cup title, the captain from Pensacola's team last year, Josh Cousineau, was a member of that organization. He had been there for a long time, and now he is on the other side. That's one of many interesting narratives we'll have to follow along throughout the evening tonight. And the Mayhem coming off of a 6-3 loss in Pensacola last week. They just failed to seize control in the third period is ultimately what ended up happening to the Mayhem. Third periods have not been Macon's strength this season, which last season it was sort of the opposite story. Not the case this time around. They've gotten off to relatively strong starts throughout the 2019-20 campaign and just have not managed to finish games as well as they have started them. At least that's been the case most of the time, not all of the time. And today the Mayhem will look to pitch a full 60 minutes against a very formidable Pensacola opponent. Coming into this game, they post a very respectable record of 8-3-1. And this is a team that historically has done a very good job at keeping the puck out of their own net. Last Wednesday, on Thanksgiving Eve, the Mayhem's greatest difficulty was actually keeping the puck out of their own net. They scored 3 times, which really, against Pensacola in that building, is an accomplishment. Last year, through 4 games at the hangar, the Mayhem only managed to light the lamp on 2 separate occasions through 4 games. So they'll take 3. However, keeping the puck out of the net was the issue. Tonight, the Mayhem will look to buckle down a little bit better defensively and do a better job of cleaning up the crease. Once again, the Mayhem PK completely shut down its opponent. Since Ryan Michael took over, that penalty kill has been lights out. Pensacola has struggled on the power play all season long. They come into this game ranked last in the SPHL with a conversion rate of just 4.7%. So the man advantage has not been Pensacola's bread and butter, and the Mayhem took advantage of the man disadvantage all night. They killed off all 5 of the Ice Flyers' power plays. And since Ryan Michael has taken over as the head coach, folks, Macon's penalty kill has succeeded in 17 out of 18 possible situations. That's good for a 94.4% success rate, which would be first in the SPHL. It's jumped 6 percentage points in the span since Coach Michael has taken over and has climbed 3 spots in the SPHL leaderboards. Just 2 weeks ago, it was ranked last in the league. It is now ranked 7th, so it's on the right path. And the Mayhem penalty kill has to continue to really hunker down and commit defensively. However, one way to really improve those numbers even further would be to go into the box less often, because the less often you're on the PK, the less exhausted you are, the more prepared you are to fully commit defensively, blocking shots, getting sticks in passing lanes and shooting lanes, etc. And over the past 3 games, the Mayhem have gone to the box plenty of times, 18 to be exact, which is far too many. And one of their defensemen, a former Pensacola Ice Flyer, Ryan Devine, was again suspended. He missed a game a couple of weeks ago. He's going to miss tonight's game as well due to an incident which occurred in which he was in the penalty box and interfered with a fan in the Pensacola crowd. So Ryan Devine, number 25 for the Mayhem, will be out of the lineup tonight, leaving their already shorthanded D-core even more shorthanded. We've yet to receive word as to whether Caleb Cameron will line up on the blue line or at forward. He played very well the last time he suited up as a defenseman against Evansville last weekend, so I really don't see any reason in which he would not, or why not to put him back there, especially considering the fact that Jimmy Soper has returned. Soper played center for Leo Thomas virtually all of last season, so he can slide into that center role if need be. And tonight seems like really the most perfect of opportunities to put Caleb Cameron back on the defensive and show what he can do. Again, he certainly proved that he can do it and even thrive as a defenseman last weekend. So I'd be surprised if he was at his customary role as a centerman. Expect him to line up on the blue line in Ryan Michaels' 4th game as the Macon Mayhem head coach. One player to look out for tonight, folks. He is on the hot list for the Macon Mayhem. Jarrett Cupp, a second-year defenseman out of Curry College, has really just reveled in his opportunity to log top D-pair minutes. He is delivered on the score sheet at an unprecedented rate. He's now just a game away from tying a franchise record in terms of assists in a single game. He's gotten an assist in 5 straight games. Jake Trask last year had 8 assists through 6 consecutive games. That's currently the record. So if Jarrett Cupp tallies an assist in this game, it will tie an all-time franchise record set by Jake Trask in 2018 for assists in consecutive games, which for a defenseman, that is remarkable. He has been outstanding in this opportunity in which he's had to log more ice time and play more crucial minutes, and he's really just been, for lack of a better analogy, just thrown to the wolves in terms of his increased role. But he has certainly made the most of this opportunity. He's scored 7 points in the past 5 games, and the Rossa, Ontario native has now reached the longest scoring streak of his pro career, tallying at least a point in 5 consecutive games. And regardless of the situation in which he has been utilized, power play, penalty kill, even strength, you name it, the 26-year-old has certainly taken advantage of the opportunity presented to him. Let's take a look at the 3 keys of tonight's game. Number 1, keeping composure. The Mayhem have struggled in that department of late. They now lead the league in penalty minutes per game. They average 17.77. Pensacola, coming into this game, last in the SPHL. They do not take penalties very often, and really it's a good thing. Special teams this season have not really been their strength. They've been a much better team on 5-on-5, so they're a team that's perfectly content with not taking a whole lot of penalties or giving up a whole lot of penalties. So expect the Ice Flyers to try to stay at full strength as long as they can. And for the Mayhem, that also means just keeping composure. Do not let your emotions get the better of you. Keep a cool head, and you've got a better chance of coming out on top in this one. Number 2, capitalizing on opportunities. This is a team that has been notoriously stingy in terms of allowing high percentage scoring opportunities. And even when they do, they've got a pair of strong goaltenders who know how to shut those chances down. So the Mayhem, when those opportunities arise, they've got to take advantage of them. The last thing they want is to be kicking themselves all night after one missed chance after another, because Pensacola, shots on goal, they lead the league in average shots on goal per game. They also lead the league in average shots on goal against per game. They average 39.1 per game. They average 23.7 against. So opportunities typically favor Pensacola when they're on their game. With that in mind, the Mayhem have got to take advantage when the chances present themselves. Last but certainly not least, getting pucks deep and wearing down Pensacola's players, particularly their defensemen. Folks, they're in a similar situation that the Mayhem are in coming into this game. The biggest difference is the Ice Flyers played last night. They were in Birmingham. They got a 3-2 victory, a thriller in regulation. That was ended by a game-winning goal scored by second-year forward Brett DeAndrea in the closing minutes of play out in Central Alabama last night. So this team is going to be a little bit tired. They've also only got 4 defensemen, just like the Mayhem. Most likely they'll be rolling with 5. Sam Williams, a forward-converted defenseman, has played 5 games for Rod Aldoff this season. Expect him to log sometime on the blue line tonight. But other than that, folks, this is a team that's pretty short-handed in terms of its blue liners. So with that in mind, combined with the fact that they played yesterday and again 2 days just before that, they're going to be a little bit fatigued. They're going to make some mental mistakes. Grinding them down, finishing hits in the corners, and making their defensemen work as much as possible in below the goal line will be paramount for the Mayhem tonight. These have been your 3 keys of tonight's game: keeping composure, capitalizing on opportunities, and getting pucks deep and wearing down the Ice Flyers. Let's take a look at who's hot for the Mayhem. We mentioned Jarrett Cupp. He's on a 5-game point streak, 2 goals and 5 assists in his last 5 games. He's been red hot. Is now not only Macon's top-scoring defenseman in the top 10 in the SPHL among blue liners, but he's also 3rd on the entire team in terms of points for the Mayhem, trailing only captain Steven Pirog and leading goal scorer Marcus Ortiz. Caleb Cameron, He's got an assist in 3 of his last 4 games. He's been hot as well, though we will likely see him lined up on the blue line tonight, though we have not gotten official confirmation. That is my suspicion, is that number 10, alternate captain for the Mayhem, will be playing on defense tonight, just like he did last weekend against Evansville. And finally, Stephen Pirog. He's been hot really for several weeks now. 5 points in as many games, 2 goals, 3 assists over that span. Near the top of the SPHL leaderboards in assists this season. He leads the Mayhem in that category with 10 through 13 games. He ranks 5th in the entire league in helpers, and the Mayhem captain has delivered all that was promised and more since returning to Macon. A few players to watch tonight from Pensacola's side of things. Eddie Matsushima, really it's just the triple M threat coming from Pensacola. They've obviously got a lot more players whose names don't start with M who are dangerous as well, but in particular, their players to watch all start with an M. It's Matsushima, Meganetti, and Marcuse. And they've also got another one, in Garrett Milan, who is not on our official players to watch tonight, but still lots of dangerous players starting with the letter M this evening for Pensacola. Eddie Matsushima had 4 points on Wednesday, had one heck of a game against the Mayhem, 2 goals, 2 assists, including an empty netter to ice the game. And then Patrick Meganetti, a point-per-game player since joining the Ice Flyers this season. He had 3 assists on Wednesday night against the Mayhem. And, of course, Ryan Marcuse, always somebody to watch out for, led the Ice Flyers in scoring last season, 10 points through 12 games this season. And he is entering what will be, hopefully for him, his 5th consecutive 30-plus point campaign in the SPHL. He is a veteran in this league and is one of the visitors' leaders on and off the ice. Pensacola's starting lineup is as follows. They're going with Jake Kupski in goal. He played his pro debut against the Mayhem on Thanksgiving Eve this past Wednesday. Tyler Andrews on defense, along with Joseph Drapluk, from what I was told. So Drapluk may be suiting up as a 5th or 6th defenseman, another converted forward, as this team, just like the Mayhem, shorthanded on the blue line. And then Blake Young, Ryan Marcuse, and Matt Ustaski up front at forward for Rod Aldoff and the Ice Flyers. It's WWE night here at the Macon Centreplex. Game number 14 of the 2019-20 season. The Mayhem entering this tilt with a record of just 3-8-2. They're really hoping to bounce back after this slow start to their season and get back on the winning trail, the trail that their fans have grown used to seeing over the past 4 years since the team has been in Central Georgia. Mac, the mascot, will work his way onto the Macon Centreplex ice. In the meantime, the starting lineups will be read off for the Macon Mayhem shortly thereafter. Pensacola entering this building with a record of 8-3-1. They beat the Mayhem on Wednesday night by a 6-3 score. They beat the Birmingham Bulls last night by a 3-2 score, and will be looking to make it a trifecta this evening on the road here in Macon. The Mayhem will be doing all in their power to prevent that from happening. A win against this team would go a long way for the team's confidence. Starting on the blue line, the rookie blue liner out of Vorkuta, Russia, Oleg Kalaman. He's played in all dozen games for the Mayhem so far this season. I beg your pardon, 12 of 13 games for the Mayhem this season. And he will be deep partners tonight with one of the hottest players in the SPHL at the moment, Jarrett Cupp. And the smooth skating defenseman out of Rossa, Ontario, will be sort of the yin to Kalaman's yang tonight. Kalaman, a much more steady stay-at-home defenseman. Jarrett Cupp, somebody who likes to get more involved on the offense, as he's done so well the past few weeks. Josh Cousineau, the former Pensacola Ice Flyer, won a President's Cup there back in 2016. He'll be looking to bounce back after a -4 on Wednesday night. Jimmy Soper back from Canada. A very welcome sight for sore eyes here at the Macon Centreplex. Somebody the team was really hoping to get back soon. And Soper making his reappearance after missing the past 3 games. Will be lined up in the middle of the line with Josh Cousineau and Danny Caesar. Kevin Etma getting the nod to start in net tonight for Ryan Michael and the Mayhem. He's played in 9 games this season for Macon, pitched a record of 3-5-1, a goals against average of 2.57, and a .923 save percentage. He's been terrific, and he will look to keep the hot stick going in goal as the Mayhem hope to bounce back against the Pensacola Ice Flyers. This was a team they played very well against at home last season. On the road was a different story. The singing of our country's national anthem will be next, folks. In the meantime, keep it right here. You're listening to Macon Mayhem Hockey on the Mayhem Broadcast Network, on SPHL Live, powered by Endeavor Streaming, and on YouTube. We'll be right back after the national anthem. Keep it right here, folks.
For tonight's the national anthem of the United States of America, sung by Ellie Engle.
Was Ellie Angley doing an outstanding job singing our country's national anthem here on WWE Night. This is an enormous game for the Mayhem. A 3-8-1 record coming into this tilt. Not the start to the campaign they were hoping for, but this is another chance in which the Mayhem can beat one of the top teams in the SPHL and prove to themselves that they've got what it takes to win in this league. Pensacola, like we were saying, a team the Mayhem fared well against in this building last year. They managed to point in all 6 head-to-head tilts at the Macon Centreplex. They went 4-0-2 against Pensacola last season. On the road, a much different story. They dropped all 4 decisions. It's been sort of similar for the Ice Flyers this year. They're historically a much better team on the road, I beg your pardon, at home than they are on the road. The Ice Flyers below 500 on the road this season, 2-3-1 away from the hangar. At the hangar, a perfect 6-0-0. The Mayhem will look to take advantage of that, among other things, not the least of which is the fatigue factor. Again, Pensacola played last night out in Birmingham. They scraped away with a 3-2 regulation victory. The Mayhem will look to quell their momentum and come away with a huge couple of points tonight on WWE Night. In case you missed the starting lineups, Jake Kupski in goal for Pensacola, Joseph Drapluck on defense with Tyler Andrews, Matt Ostosky, Ryan Marcuse, and Blake Young up front as the forwards. For Macon, Kevin Etma in goal, Oleg Kalaman and Jarrett Cup on defense, Danny Caesar, Jimmy Soper, Josh Cousineau as the forwards for the Mayhem. The referee for tonight's game is Scott McClement. The linesmen are Corey Fossa and Venance Lorenz. This is the 14th game of the regular season for the Mayhem, currently ranked 9th in the SPHL. With a couple of points tonight, they can come within 1 of Evansville and Quad City, who are tied for the 7th seed in the SPHL standings. Josh Cousineau will take the first faceoff of this game. Jimmy Soper lines up on his left. Scott McClement drops the puck, and Josh Cousineau beats his former team on the draw. This game is underway. Jarrett Cup rings one out to Danny Caesar, who floats one into the opposite corner on the left side of the ice, where it's been rimmed around and held alive at the right half wall by Danny Caesar, who goes into the far corner with it, skates away with the puck and tries to center it for Soper. Pinballs back to the line, and Oleg Kalaman sends it down the right half wall. Soper receives it, corner on the far side, slips one in front, goes all the way through where it's picked off and carried out of harm's way by Blake Young. He will sustain a check from Jimmy Soper, and he comes back to the ice with a bang after having missed the past 3 tilts back home in Canada, and he lost his helmet immediately on the first shift since his return. A very Soper-like return to action. Good stick lift from behind by Stephen Pirog, the captain demonstrating good leadership qualities on the back check, and Sean Lynch will race down his off wing with the puck on his stick with Sumalitis going to the front of the net. The pass goes all the way through to Pirog in the slot, and it bounces off the corner board, just rimmed to the far side. Lynch puts it in front, goes off the glove of Pirog. Played again by Lynch in the far corner, and he will tap it back to the line. Pirog receives it below the goal line and works his way to the side wall on the far side. Now Sumulidis will drop it back in below the net. Sean Lynch getting in a pushing and shoving match. They're going to drop the gloves. Sean Lynch in the first 23 seconds is in a scrap right in front of the Pensacola goaltender. And that scrap has ended fairly quickly. Sean Lynch, not much of a fighter. But he certainly was not going to tolerate the disrespect in front of the Pensacola netminder. He went up against a much more tenured player in Craig Sescon, who is somebody who's been a professional for a long time. He's the Pensacola captain, even though he's in his first year there. He's a 33-year-old out of Mississauga, Ontario. He's had a very long and distinguished professional career, dating all the way back to the old CHL days from 2006. That's when he began his pro tenure. And Sean Lynch, sort of like a guard dog, of which he has 4, just went after him. He's now in the Beyond Taboo Tattoo penalty box. Craig Sescon in the All-State Bonding penalty box. We will stay at 5 skaters aside. That was just 23 seconds into the game, folks, and Sean Lynch already dropping the gloves with his first fight on the season. Pensacola losing a valuable defenseman. Coming into this game, they were already pretty short in the defenseman department, and they've just gone down another one. Craig Sescon's had 6 assists through 12 games this season. Lynch with just 6 PIMs coming into this game. He's now up to 11. The puck drops. Pensacola wins the defensive zone faceoff. Kyle Fraze will advance it up the right side. And Tanner Fraze, no relation, is floated out into the neutral zone. It's been whacked off the half wall on the near side of the ice. Ben Campbell pushing and shoving in the near corner against Patrick Maganetti. Maganetti ends up with the puck. He's shoved down to the ice, but worked it back to the line. And it's been outletted for Pirog, who will race up the middle, gains the blue line, kicks it off to his stick and fires. It gets blocked, but it stays in play. Sumulidis fighting for it below the goal line. Campbell holds the line at the left point, had his shot go off a stick. Kyle Fraze blocked it on the way through, and the puck's gone out of play. Ben Campbell with a good keep at the left point. Tried to get the shot through traffic, but Kyle Fraze was right there, rather Tanner Fraze, to block this shot. Tanner Fraze, 21 games in the ECHL last season between the Atlanta Gladiators and the Idaho Steelheads. No relation that I'm aware of to Kyle Fraze, the defenseman for Pensacola, wearing the number 2. Offensive zone faceoff for the Mayhem, but again, it's won by the visiting Ice Flyers, and spinning with it behind his own net, Sam Williams, who will advance it up the left wall. Tanner Fraze has it. From the red line, will fly it into the opposite corner, and it caroms right to Caleb Cameron, who is, in fact, dressed as a defenseman tonight for Ryan Michael and the Mayhem. And now it's Tanner Pulowski. I beg your pardon, David Pulowski, who dropped it back to Caleb Cameron. Can't clear it. But eventually, Cameron gets some help from Pulowski, and Pensacola right back into the Macon zone. Good strip of possession. Pulowski on the breakout up to Danny Caesar, who somehow keeps possession of the puck. No penalty. He will float it back to the line. Cameron's long shot is sticked aside. Bounces off the backboards. It's recovered. Flung back to Cameron again from the point. Had his shot blocked by Caesar. Caesar corrals it. Outer hash marks. Far circle. Centered it. Tommaso Bucci picked it off. He will wheel behind his own net and flip it off the glass all the way down. This will be an icing called against the Ice Flyers. That icing call has been brought to you by Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Good couple of plays made by Caleb Cameron, first in his own zone and then at the left point in the offensive zone. Cameron showing some pretty good natural instincts as a defenseman. He has been Macon's closest thing to a Swiss Army knife over the past couple of years. One could argue Seth Ronsberg serving that role as well last season, played both center, wing, or all three, center, wing, and defense, to my recollection. Danny Caesar, far corner, drops it off. Cousineau goes after it. Cousineau from his backhand releases it, gets it to Soper. The Ice Flyers have it again, but fail to clear it out. Soper goes into the end wall, fighting for possession against Bucci. He brings him down. Soper with it on his stick, looks to the front, turns and fires, missed the short side post. And it will be held in again, this time by Cousineau. He will drop it below the net. Kyle Fraze takes a hit. The Mayhem hitting everything in sight in the early going, which was the essence of one of our three keys of tonight's game. It was getting pucks deep and wearing down the opponents. The Mayhem have done an outstanding job of that so far. We're 3.5 minutes into this contest, scoreless at the Macon Centreplex. Alex Von Coyle, the voice of your Mayhem, the lone broadcaster tonight. The Mayhem squaring off against the Pensacola Ice Flyers for the second time this season, first time here at the Centreplex. Ryan Marcuse, 7th-year SPHL veteran, drops it to Jesse Kessler. He will feed one to his left. Tyler Andrews on the breakout pass up to Blake Young. He enters the Macon zone, gets back on it and fires, missed over top of the crossbar. Kevin Etma was square to the shot, but that was a headhunter that just missed. Blake Young, Kessler from the neutral zone, missed wide of the right post with a slap shot. Caleb Cameron holding on to it. Will feed it to Ben Campbell, bounces hotly off his stick, and Cameron will just safely clear it out all the way down. Sumalitis winning the foot race, beating a winded Jesse Kessler to the puck. Kessler throws the body on Sumalitis, who lost the puck, and now it's been worked up to the left wall. Ryan Marcuse sends one diagonally on the tape for Blake Young on his off wing. Excellent move, cuts to the net, can't finish it. Good opportunity he created for himself. Unfortunately, just couldn't pull the string all the way through as he was dancing through the crease. Jarrett Cupp begins the breakout from in behind his own net, delivers it to his right, and it's brought in across the blue line by David Pawlowski. His pass was intended for Cupp, but it was picked off by Fraze. And Tanner Fraze's pass also intercepted. Keplinger commencing the counterattack. He shoots, and he knocked the stick clean out of the hands of Kyle Fraze. He gets back onto it. In the meantime, it's Pawlowski, far half wall, dropping it to the line for David Smith. Cupp has a blowout, but gets back onto his skates. It's been rimmed in behind the Macon net. Kevin Etma decides to play it along for Cupp. Cupp's clearing attempt succeeds. It bounced over Tanner Fraze's stick. Now it's Brett DeAndrea firing it right back in. Etma behind his net. Slides it to Cupp again. Cupp flings it up to Josh Keplinger. He slides it across to Larry Smith. Up to Cousineau. A longtime Ice Flyer will shovel it into Pensacola territory. It's halted by Jake Kupski behind his own net. And Joseph Drapluck will advance it up the left wing side. It's been cleared into the right corner of the Macon zone. Caleb Cameron rims one around to the far half wall. Cameron gets another chance at it behind his own goal line, and he will just float this one up into neutral territory. It bounces near the Mayhem logo at center ice, where it's played down and turned over. Here comes Danny Caesar trying to make the Ice Flyers pay for that mistake. He sends it through the crease. It's played in the far corner now by Steven Pirog. He's got it still. Dropped it into the far circle. Sumalitis is dispossessed of it. The puck slides its way up to the point. Pirog delivers a big hit. Will skate it out himself so as to retain possession of the puck. Here comes Pirog back in across the Pensacola blue line. Dishes it off to his right. Here's a snapshot fought off by Kupski. Second shot denied by Kupski on the sharp angle bid from Sumalitis. Marcus Ortiz firing moments ago from the right circle. Kupski doing some leather flashing. And the puck flew into the left corner. Sumalitis' secondary shot denied from a much easier angle from Kupski's point of view. He made the save with his glove. Jake Kupski played fairly well in his professional debut against the Mayhem back on Thanksgiving Eve 3 nights ago. Stopped 26 of 29 Macon shots. He's a 7th-round draft pick by the San Jose Sharks in the 2015 NHL entry draft. Played 4 seasons at Union College. Strange that the Mayhem are the only team the Ice Flyers have played who have not seen Chase Perry yet. He's been their workhorse goaltender this season, but both times Macon has played Pensacola, Rod Aldoff has gone with Kupski. There might be something about the way these teams square off, something about the way the Mayhem play in which he prefers Kupski as the matchup against Macon. But Perry has played in every other game this season outside of tilts against the Mayhem. The Mayhem with another offensive zone face-off opportunity, and the Ice Flyers are quickly out of their own zone as Marcuse will spin one, and there's going to be another fight breaking out in the Pensacola zone. Sumalitis has a good handle on trying to identify who that is. That's Sescon again, and he brings him down. Sumalitis answering the bell here on WWE night, and fittingly so. That's another fight for Statha Sumalitis, who gets a huge round of applause from this crowd. Sescon's second fight in the same period, and this one did not end as well for him. And the 33-year-old coming into this game clearly had something to prove. Again, folks, Pensacola not really known as a team that takes a lot of penalties. Coming into this game, they were last in the SBHL, averaging just 8.8 per game. They've already passed that in the first 7.5 minutes, 6.5 minutes. So Sescon first fighting Sean Lynch and then fighting Stathis Soumalides. So he probably got the better of Lynch in his first fight of the season, but certainly did not get the better of Stathis Soumalides, who's a seasoned fighter. Josh Keplinger loses the puck in the corner to Kyle Fraze, but gets another chance with it. He will slide it to the far corner there for David Pawlowski. Overskates it near the Ortho Georgia dashboard. Huge hit thrown by Ortiz. Ortiz leaves it. Keplinger's got it. We'll wedge it back up the boards, and Ben Campbell with a good keep at the blue line. Tries to scurry over with one hand on his stick. Couldn't advance it further down the boards, and here come the Ice Flyers. Odd man rush develops. Shot from a tough angle is blocked, and the puck's gone out of play. That shot, I believe, was blocked by Ben Campbell, who was scurrying back. He first blocked the shot with his stick and then was tripped up shortly thereafter. He thought that a penalty should have been called. That's what he's telling Scott McClellan. I think the Ice Flyers are fortunate that there was not a penalty called for tripping. Immediately after that shot was released, it looked like there was a tripping penalty that could have been called against Pensacola. Danny Caesar will skate it out of his own zone. It's been cleared back into Macon territory. Caleb Cameron up the wall for Jimmy Soper. He slides it up to Cousineau, who tips it further for Caesar. Nice entry, and Caesar will fire. Stopped by Kupski on top of his crease. Jake Kupski perfect thus far. Neither goaltender has been particularly busy. There have been plenty of offensive zone time, really, from both sides, but I don't know that Kevin Etma's necessarily made a save yet. Kupski's made a handful. The Mayhem with another offensive zone faceoff. They've had plenty of those in the first 7.5 of this game. But Pensacola has done a good job defensively at winning those draws. Tanner Fraze enters the attacking zone. He rims it off the right corner boards. It caroms in behind the net. Jarrett Cupp has it. He is out-muscled by Patrick Meganetti, who leaves it. And here's a centering pass. Great save by Etma. He just robbed Tanner Fraze on the doorstep. If I'm not mistaken, that's his first save of this game, and that was a dandy. Lunging over to make the left pad stop. Now Kessler had his shot blocked by Soper. It ricochets back into Pensacola territory. Eddie Matsushima's got it. Matsushima turns. Steven Pirog backpedals, defending him. Deeks to his forehand side and floats it up the wall. Matsushima gets it right back and pivots. He will roll one in behind the Macon goal line. Larry Smith will tap it around the boards. And Sean Lynch couldn't clear it. Bounces back into the near corner, and it's played by Pensacola's Michael Ederer. Oleg Kalaman now up to Steven Pirog, who will enter the Pensacola zone. He delays from the left point, had his shot steered aside by Kupski. Kalaman deposits it back around the wall, and Pirog in the bottom of the left circle. Leaves it for Stepan Timofeyev, who's dispossessed of it by Kessler. And here comes Eddie Matsushima down his off wing. I beg your pardon, that's Tommaso Bucci, who's held up a bit, loses the puck. The Ice Flyers recover in neutral territory as it's slid back to Joseph Drapluk. He will return it to Tyler Andrews. Andrews sliding a diagonal pass that's picked off. Keplinger on the counterattack will fire. It gets blocked by Joseph Drapluk. Caroms into the far corner. Keplinger put it back behind the net, but skating out with it for Pensacola, Ryan Marcuse. He gave it away to David Pawlowski, who will shovel it into Pensacola territory. 10:30 to go here in period one. Scoreless at the Macon Centreplex between the Mayhem and the Pensacola Ice Flyers. Good hold at the line by Cousineau, who slides it over, hoping for Keplinger. It was intercepted by the back-checking Ice Flyers. And it's going to be brought down the left side now by Matt Ustaski. The ex-Wisconsin Badger will deliver it below the Macon goal line. It's angled off the half wall near side. Kyle Fraze's shot is blocked. Here comes Keplinger. Could get a breakaway down the slot and broken up by a good back check from Fraze, whose shot was blocked by Keplinger. Just not enough speed from Keplinger. He was pretty gassed at the end of a shift. Unfortunate for him. He might have had a better chance. It's dropped in below the Pensacola goal line by Kupski and flung out into the neutral zone. Ben Campbell with a good read and interception. Stephen Pirog will slide it horizontally. Soper tees up a slap shot, and a glove snag is made by Jake Kupski on the Canadian power forward, playing his first game back after missing the last three. We get a whistle and a stoppage in play. 9:35 to go here in period one. No score at the Macon Centreplex. We're so glad to have you with us, folks, on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. Hope you're enjoying your night. Shout out this evening to Phil Jones, who's tuned in from back home. What I presume to be feeling a bit under the weather again. I was told to give him a shout out. So Phil, a huge diehard Mayhem fan at most of our games, but couldn't make this one. Thanks for tuning in tonight, Phil. Hope you had a nice Thanksgiving and hope you're enjoying your night. The Mayhem hoping to use this game to take advantage of some fatigue coming on Pensacola's end. They're pretty short on the blue line with really just four official defensemen listed coming into this game. Sam Williams and Joseph Draplik have both spent time filling in, but they're both forwards converted to defensemen. And Craig Sescon's already gone to the box twice for fighting in this first period. Larry Smith, right point, had his shot blocked. Floats up probably 50 feet in the air, lands at the top of the near circle, and out with it skates Pensacola. It's brought across the line by Sam Williams, who gives it over. Tanner Fraze had his pass blocked. Counterattack, Caesar, right side, Soper to the goal. Caesar collects it, center, Soper shoots, scores! Jimmy Soper in his first game back has given the Mayhem a 1-0 lead. Did not take the 24-year-old long at all to reassert himself as a dominant force on the ice for the Mayhem. He missed 3 straight. It was killing him, but he had to go home. Personal issues to attend to, family issues. When he came back, it took him just 10 minutes and 46 seconds to light the lamp. The Mayhem have a 1-0 lead. Pensacola will try to answer quickly, just like the Mayhem managed to a few times down in Pensacola back on Thanksgiving Eve. The Mayhem erased 2 different deficits, first a 1-goal, then a 2-goal deficit, all before the third period began. But the Ice Flyers just took over in the closing stanza. Timofeyev passes to himself, cuts around a check, dips in behind the net. Timofeyev attempts a fancy trick play to tuck it in. It didn't work out. Sean Lynch back on it. We'll try to slide one back to the line. Jarrett Cupp skillfully holds it in the zone. We'll redeliver it back in below the Pensacola cage. Kupski rims it back around in the same direction. And now it's Tyler Andrews from behind the Pensacola goal line. The Ice Flyers have cleared it. Timofeyev dropping it back to his countryman Oleg Kalaman. Will backpedal in front of his own net and slide it now to his right for Jarrett Cupp. Cupp's return pass is on the tape for Kalaman. He will trickle it up to Timofeyev. Cleared past him, back down into the Macon zone. Icing is the call against the Ice Flyers. That icing call has been brought to you by Tropical Smoothie Cafe. 8:10 to go in the first. 1-0 in favor of Macon. The Mayhem, when scoring the first goal, are 2-1-1 this season. Each scenario has been on home ice. They have not scored first when on the road. When leading after one, the Mayhem a perfect 2-0-0. Sumalidas has been let out of the penalty box. Hence the large round of applause you're hearing from the Macon Centreplex crowd here on WWE night. It's no coincidence, I don't think, that on this night we've already seen 2 fights. We're just barely halfway through the first period. Ben Campbell scurries back to play it in his own zone. He will give it over to his right for Caleb Cameron, who head fakes, still has it on his stick. And will advance it around the boards, and it's able to squeak by Kyle Fraze, manning his opposite point. It looks as though Pensacola's got the same issue that the Mayhem do, not just for having not just for being short-handed at the blue line, but having a lot of left-handed shots and have to play on the opposite side. Jesse Kessler, if I'm not mistaken, the only right-handed defenseman listed on Pensacola's roster. Another icing called against the Ice Flyers. 7.5 to go here in the first period. 1-0 the score in favor of Macon. And they'll get another offensive zone face-off. Had plenty of these to work with so far in this game. We're halfway between media timeouts here as Steven Pirog lines up to take an offensive zone face-off. Squeaks out to DeAndrea, who's cleared it out to the Mayhem logo at center ice. Larry Smith whacks it up the left wall, past Timofeyev and recovered by Kyle Fraze. It's just been redirected further. This will be another icing called against the Ice Flyers. This is one of the reasons the Ice Flyers don't tend to give up a lot of goals, folks. They make the safe play more often than not, and typically the safe play is just chipping it off the glass. It doesn't always go the length. The ice may be a little bit more slippery today than it has been in the past and in this season. The longer the period wears on, the more gas you can put behind your clearing attempts without having to worry about icing as the ice gets chippier and is not as slippery. That one looked again short of the red line, but no icing is being called this time. Sumilidis near half wall slides it to Oleg Kalaman. He will ricochet it off the boards, and Seskan will slide one over to his right for Jesse Kessler. It's been dumped into the right corner, and battling for it is Blake Young. He carries in behind the Macon goal line, and will just cycle it down to Eddie Matsushima. Seskan wanted the pass. Matsushima reversed it down the half wall on the far side. Now Larry Smith will work it up to Sumilidis. Sumilidis will spring Pirog ahead. Pirog backhands it into the Pensacola zone. Eddie Matsushima's got it. He leaves it. Pirog, a relentless forechecker. Will now just skate to the Macon bench to be replaced by Josh Cousineau. It's been lofted high off the glass all the way down. This again looks like icing's been waved off, but a penalty is going to be called against, I believe, Josh Cousineau for a hold. Cousineau was going back to retrieve the puck, and I believe icing might have been waved off because of the penalty being called, which is not supposed to be the case. Cousineau saying that his opponent dove, but McClement very convincingly sending Cousineau to the box. Icing still should have been called, even though there was a penalty. But regardless, Pensacola will go to its first power play of this game. Coming into this tilt, they have struggled greatly on the man advantage, clicking at just 4.7%. So Cousineau to the box for holding. He's somebody who hadn't gone to the sin bin at all until 1 week ago. In that span, he's collected 9 PIMs. Something about playing his former team, I'd imagine. He is something of a hockey staple in the Pensacola community. You know, a lot of their fans were they had mixed emotions after the Mayhem signed him. Of course, they were glad to see him in the league still, but upset he is no longer with the organization. Jesse Kessler couldn't send it through Danny Caesar. Caesar working hard, pressuring the puck and directing traffic in the Pensacola zone. Kessler gets it back from Garrett Milan and spins. Caesar killed off probably 30 seconds on that forecheck. Garrett Milan couldn't quite slither by Ortiz. Big hit thrown by Cameron on, it was Michael Ederer, and back with it on his stick now is Jesse Kessler. He will circle behind his own goal and feed it up the right side for Garrett Milan. Supremely skilled centerman will take a hit from Cameron, the other number 10. Puck squeaks out to the far side. It's been flung all the way down. Sumilidis, nobody else really anywhere near him, cuts to the net and shovels a backhand shot that's shouldered away by Jake Kupski. Here come the Ice Flyers on the counterattack. Entering the zone, Tommaso Bucci spins to the top of the right circle and delays. Bucci will bounce one down to the right corner. Ryan Marcuse has it. He slides it back to the line. It could not be held by Matt Ostosky. He will turn back and circle away from Jimmy Soper. Mayhem doing a great job on the forecheck so far tonight, forcing Pensacola's players, defensemen and forwards alike, to take routes they wouldn't normally do. It's making things awkward for them in the offensive zone. Here's Ryan Marcuse. He will deliver it in behind the net. Patrick Meganetti's got it. Had a 3-assist night against the Mayhem back on Wednesday. The Mayhem have cleared it again. 15 seconds. Time for one last push by Pensacola on this man advantage. This Mayhem penalty kill has been brought to you by J&J's Heating and Air Conditioning as Jimmy Soper couldn't quite clear it back into the Pensacola zone, but on the second effort he has done it. The Mayhem have improved to 1-for-1 on the penalty kill, I beg your pardon. They've now killed off 18 of 19 under the tutelage of Ryan Michael as the head coach. Caleb Cameron in his own zone. Collects it. Pensacola having just completed a line change. Cameron's outlet pass finds Josh Keplinger eventually. Had a great opportunity earlier in this game, but was caught up to from behind on a breakaway as he was at the end of a pretty long shift. Was running on fumes. Now here comes Milan down the right side. Ends up taking Pulowski into the near corner. Josh Keplinger's pass reaches Kalaman, but he mishandled it. Kyle Fraze slides it over and gets the return pass from his defensive partner, Craig Sescon. And here's Milan slipping through. What a move. Backhand shot. He scores. A highlight reel goal by Garrett Milan. Really deked the Mayhem out of their jock straps. Fantastic individual effort by number 10 in white. And Garrett Milan, coming into this game, had 9 points through 12 games. Now has his 4th goal on the season, his 10th point. Milan has leveled the score, and we're tied at 1. The St. Cloud State grad in 2015 has averaged well over a point per game through his tenure in Pensacola. Always somebody to watch out for when he's got the puck on his stick. He's extremely dangerous, and he just proved why. That looked like a move that he's practiced thousands of times. Here's Sumalitas forcing the issue. That is shot, steered wide. Looked like Kupski got just a piece of it. Breakout pass from Tanner Fraze finds the intended target, Eddie Matsushima on the left side. He'll deliver it below the Macon goal. Larry Smith trying to advance it up the near boards. Pirog puts it behind his net. Jarrett Cupp's got it. Sumalitas makes a break for it. Cup will bounce it up the right wall. The Mayhem have numbers, but the pass from Timofeyev is outside of the reach of Pirog. Pirog wins possession back near corner. He is eventually heavily outnumbered. Jesse Kessler takes back over for the Flyers and will bounce it across the Pensacola blue line. Jimmy Stoper and Jarrett Cupp sort of getting each other's way there. And the Flyers look to capitalize. Tanner Fraze will leave it off. Backhander fought off by Entma. Whacked out of midair by Timofeyev into the far corner. Redelivered behind the net by Tanner Fraze. 2:22 to go in the first period. We've got a 1-1 score on our hands. It's Jimmy Soper and Garrett Milan respectively tallying for each of their teams. As Tyler Andrews will blast it in from the red line, misses the net, bounces off the boards, and we get a whistle here. The linesman blowing the play dead. I'm not sure if they're calling that offside or icing or what, but it's got to be offside because it was certainly not an icing call. So if I'm not mistaken, that's an offside called against Pensacola. And after this final media timeout of period 1, we're going to do a neutral zone face-off. Our hero of tonight's game being recognized by Charles Olson, our public address announcer, to the tune of a pretty good round of applause here at the Macon Centreplex. As always, folks, if you'd like to nominate somebody as a hero of the game, to give them an experience they will not forget, just visit the Mayhem website under the Community tab. Look for Hero of the Game. Submit your application for who you believe should be our Blues Painting and Home Repair Hero of the Game. Plead your case as to why they deserve that honor. And a Mayhem staff member will get back in touch with you shortly. Time winding down in the first period, just over 2 minutes. The Ice Flyers having just tied this game at a goal apiece. Soper gets a point-blank chance following an offensive zone draw, but Kupski slammed the 5-hole shut and made a stick save. Now it's Cameron rimming it off the boards. It's picked off by Pensacola's Blake Young. Loses the puck in the slot. It's chiseled back to Cameron, who will slip one out to the Macon bench, essentially. And now it's taken back over by Joseph Drapluk and cleared into the Macon zone. Kevin Etma, inside of his trapezoid, will rim one around for Caleb Cameron. Smith, Cousineau. One hands it through, but it's taken over by Kyle Fraze. Minute and a half to go. Fraze marches out to center with it. His pass goes off of David Pawlowski's stick and redirects into the Macon bench. Pawlowski scored a goal in his Macon debut 1 week ago today against the Evansville Thunderbolts. He was a late call-up from the Federal Prospect Hockey League's Columbus River Dragons. Just a 2-hour drive from here or less, I'm told, Columbus, Georgia. He was able to come up pretty quickly and join the team without a second thought, and made good on his opportunity in his debut, scoring on the power play to not only get his first in his first game, but also snap a bit of a power play drought the team was suffering from. Here's Kyle Fraze, angling it off the sideboards in the neutral zone where it's accelerated further and pursued by Jarrett Cupp. He will shovel it below his own net, and Larry Smith advancing it to Marcus Ortiz. His pass is intercepted by Bucci, left circle. His shot blocked by Ortiz. Makes a clearing attempt, doesn't get it, but the Mayhem get a 3-on-1. It's brought down the right side by Pawlowski. Keplinger to the goal. The centering pass finds Ortiz, who missed the net. And now it's Keplinger, left circle. Puts it in front for Pawlowski. His shot blocked. Loose puck corralled by Pensacola's Kyle Fraze and lofted down the ice with 37 seconds to go. Entma trying to catch the Ice Flyers in the midst of a line change, but Keplinger is met quickly by Pensacola's Patrick Meganetti. Keplinger back into the attacking zone, will leave it off. Pirog couldn't quite pull the string there. He lost a handle on the puck, attempted an excellent move, but just didn't get much wood on it. Sort of tried the, I'm not even sure what that move is called, but I've seen it before. Mostly on NHL 20. Not very often do you see a player attempt it. And I'm trying to think of an NHL example. I've seen it done in the shootout a few times. You sort of put the puck between your own skates and put the stick in behind your own skates, basically, and from the strong side, try to flick it up over the goaltender when he's going down into the butterfly. Sumulidis throws Jesse Kessler into the corner boards and gets the puck from him. He will drop it to Pirog at the bottom of the left circle. Into the high slot for Cameron. His shot blocked. Sean Lynch, I believe, inadvertently got his stick in the way of that shot. Lynch fights for it in front of the Pensacola bench. Whacked back down by Cameron, who will get it right back and fling it into the Pensacola zone, and that'll do it. 20 minutes in the books, 2 goals, 1 apiece, starting from Jimmy Soper, who really just in the first 10-plus minutes since returning to Macon got back on the board. He really missed playing here in the few games in which he missed, and it's great to have him back. He made his presence known almost immediately, got the Mayhem a 1-0 lead. And the Mayhem certainly a much better team when playing with a lead than they are when playing from behind, as is just about every team. But Pensacola was able to answer fairly quickly. Garrett Milan with a spectacular individual effort, a highlight reel goal scored by number 10 in white. If I'm not mistaken, unassisted. The Mayhem just really looking perplexed by it, and you can't really blame them. They were almost spectators to Garrett Milan's magnificent puck handling, and he just really deked his way through everybody on the ice essentially and cut down the slot and generated an uncontested breakaway for himself. And Kevin Etma was just, he really didn't have much of a chance. He was kind of hung out to dry, and Garrett Milan, the last person you want to leave in that situation with your goaltender. If you could handpick anyone from Pensacola to not allow to have that situation, it would be Garrett Milan. But he creates those situations for himself with his stick skills, and Etma couldn't really do much. Garrett Milan with an excellent move to his backhand to shovel it over the pads of Kevin Etma. So 1-1 your score through the first 20 minutes of play. We hope you've enjoyed the broadcast up till now, folks. On the Mayhem Broadcast Network, Alex Von Coyle, the voice of your Mayhem, bringing you live coverage of this tilt, the 14th game of the 2019-20 regular season for the Mayhem. It's the 13th for Pensacola. Coming into this game, they have a record of 8-3-1, Macon 3-8-2. The Mayhem hoping to snap a 2-game losing skid and get back on the winning trail here at the onset of November. It'll be another busy home stand for the Mayhem throughout the final month of the annual year. They'll have 5 straight home games before they go on the road again. Next Saturday night, they will host Fayetteville. The following weekend, Quad City, for the first time in franchise history, will host the Quad City Storm in 2 weeks on Friday, December 13th, Saturday, December 14th. And then the following week after that, back-to-back games as well. Friday the 20th against Roanoke and Saturday the 21st against Birmingham. So lots of opportunities to come back out and support the Mayhem. Of course, we've got family 4-pack nights included in there as well. The first one being Friday, December 13th. Lots of post-game skating with the players and plenty of theme nights coming up as well. Of course, we've got our teacher appreciation night next Saturday against Fayetteville, and our teddy bear toss the following Saturday, and so much more. For more information, visit our website at maconmayhem.com. What I'm going to do now, folks, I'm going to step aside on the Mayhem Broadcast Network, take a pause for the cause. In the meantime, we're going to play back our Monday morning interview that we did this past week with Mayhem head coach Ryan Michael. And after that, I'm thinking at some point during the second intermission, we'll play back our archive of line change from last week, in which we had Larry Smith and Josh Kuzno, a former Pensacola Ice Flyer, on as our guests in our 6th episode of Season 2 of Line Change. So the Creekside interview with Tony Doolin, Ryan Michael, Charles Davis, and myself coming your way next, folks. You're listening to Macon Mayhem Hockey on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. We'll be back before long. Keep it right here.
Music Real Radio, Creekside Mornings. Tony Doolin, Charles Davis. That is Charlie Crockett. Saturday, Satan, Sunday, Saint. It is Monday. That means we have guests in the studio. From the Macon Mayhem, Alex Von Coydle.
From Alex Von Coydle, the voice. From Alex Von Coydle, the voice. Voice. From Alex Von Coydle, the voice. This will put me in a better mood now. Voice. Alex Von Coydle.
So, Ryan Michael couldn't hear that. That was Alex's intro. He's not wearing his headphones.
He's not. Yeah.
Alex has his own branded intro that he makes us play.
Makes us play.
It's not, we don't want to.
Twice.
But he makes us play it twice in each interview.
That is not true. You guys requested it from me at the start of the year.
I don't
Just
remember
correct.
that
Not
email
true.
being
That
sent.
is no.
I can
We-
prove it.
I don't.
You put it in writing.
No, I don't.
No way.
No.
Alex, how are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Good, baby.
Good.
You recording?
Yes, we were.
yes.
He's on it, baby. We didn't have to say nothing to him today, baby.
Just double checking.
You know, we got him. Training him up,
See how
right?
demanding he is?
He's just so.
It's like that at work, too.
Okay, well, then that makes sense then. You know.
Now, with you today, you brought interim head coach for the Macon Mayhem, Ryan Michael. I will admit I did not recognize you out of a suit.
Fair enough.
Casual today,
Yeah.
didn't recognize you at all.
Classes.
However, welcome.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks for
Thanks
being
for
here.
having me.
Yeah, man.
Obviously, the last couple of weeks with the Mayhem have been tumultuous, to say the least. I'm glad you're on this morning. I want to ask some questions and talk about that. Alex, we'll get to you in a minute.
Yeah, we talk to you all the time.
We talk to you all the time. We're skipping you first this time.
No, I don't want you guys to talk to me anyway.
Wow.
Bitter much this morning, sir?
We're going to make him eat pie.
Good.
Here's the big question that is on my mind. I'm sure it's on a lot of people's minds. After the Mayhem parted ways with Leo Thomas, you were named interim head coach. You had been the assistant under Coach Thomas. My question to you is, do you want the gig?
I mean,
I know that's a tough question.
Yeah,
I mean, it's odd to be in this situation.
yeah. I'm going into the year. You know, my thought was maybe a second year as the assistant to kind of continue to learn and watch the process. Would benefit me, and obviously the circumstances changed, and so far it's been challenging and a grind, and but I've enjoyed it, and I'm just gonna continue doing it and see how it goes.
Yeah.
I will say this: Friday night, Saturday night, Evansville, 2-game stand at the Centreplex. Friday night, I felt like, with everything that had gone on last week, I felt like the team came out with something to prove. Am I wrong about that?
Correct. I feel the same.
Absolutely.
A goal in the first 16 seconds.
Yeah, that's.
And that was just, to me, that was a message from the team to the fans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Granted, I think that goal was a foot offside, but
Regardless
there's
of
no
the
replay.
circumstances
There's no.
around it.
There's no replay in our league, so it's
He's like, I was.
Take that for what it is.
we'll take it. We'll take it. We'll take the
it.
good bounce.
But there was a lot on Saturday night that I felt like, or on Friday night, the team was sending a message to the fans that, hey, we're here, we're a team, and we're going to play strong. And it was an aggressive game Friday night. Alex, what were your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, you could tell all week there was a really positive sense around the team throughout practice. It wasn't, we're heading downhill fast or anything like that. The guys really rallied behind Coach Michael here, and just watching a few practices for a few minutes, as whenever I had time throughout the week, it was obvious that the guys really supported him and have been listening to what he's been telling them, and it showed on Friday night. Huge 2 points to snap a little skid that we were on. And yeah, like you said, the team came out to play. Sean Lynch, actually, Coach Michael's cousin here, they scored in the first 16 seconds.
Yeah.
And then, there were a few instances where we were probably shorthanded for too long. That problem was addressed a little bit on Saturday night, but all in all, just a great effort start to finish on Friday.
It over the first part of the season, penalty kills have been an issue for the Mayhem, and it looks like we resolved some of that over the weekend. We had a much better penalty kill showing.
Yeah, it was the best PK of the year for us on Friday night in terms of a single game. I think they went 7 for 7 on Friday, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Saturday, it was the end of the game was a different story, but still a lot of positive things I saw on the ice. Mm-hmm. Kind of break down Saturday's game for us.
Yeah, well, Saturday was the opposite score. We lost 4-2. Evansville, they're a team who last year really struggled. They were dead last in the league pretty much the entire season, and they've got a new head coach who's known to be, just a great recruiter. He was coaching while Michael was still playing, actually, so he's been around for a while. And he's got a great young team over there. Youngest team in the league, I think. They're also a really disciplined team. We've got a former Mayhem sniper over there, Derek Sutliff.
And I wanted to bring up Derek because he did have an injury during Saturday's game, despite the fact that he plays for Evansville. He was a Mayhem player for a long time. A lot of folks love him.
Yeah.
Is he okay? Because he was out of the rest of the game.
I got an email from his family yesterday, actually, and they just wanted to, thank us for welcoming him back, and they told me that he's fine.
Okay, good.
Good.
Indeed.
Good.
So
And
that was
and
good to
very
hear.
classy on the Mayhem fans Saturday night when he was injured and led off the ice, giving him that round of applause.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a scary moment,
Yeah.
even for me watching from the press box, because he lost his helmet, and I don't know, Mike's, maybe you can attest to this or not, but I think he might have hit the back of his head on the ice when he landed.
I missed it. It
Okay.
was just the angle where it was. It was right in front of their bench. I couldn't see, through the glass in their bench. So I heard it, and then I didn't even know it was Derek until he got off the ice.
Okay, he was definitely woozy getting off.
Yeah.
You could tell. I was hoping he didn't have a concussion or something
Yeah.
like that, but it was hard for him to stand up straight and skate.
Let's talk about this week's games because we do have a game the day before Thanksgiving. It's an away game, but we have a home game this weekend.
Yes.
Break those down for us.
Yeah, that's right. It's our first time playing Pensacola this season. They're one of just 2 teams in our league that we haven't faced yet, so it should be interesting. They're always it seems like when we play them, just very low-scoring games, especially when we go down to that building. So we're going there Thanksgiving Eve this Wednesday night, and then we turn around, enjoy Thanksgiving, have Thanksgiving off and Black Friday off, and then we host Pensacola on Saturday night, WWE night at the Centreplex.
Here we go. Coach Michael, let's talk about some personnel because there have been some additions and some subtractions from the roster. Tell me about the trades that have gone on and new players who have come in.
Well, Thursday night, Zach Urban, one of our D, I got a call at about 10:30 from Kalamazoo's coach that they were in dire straits for somebody. So Thursday night, I knew he was gone.
He went to the Kalamazoo K-Wings?
Yeah.
Is that the team?
They were playing in Cincinnati, I think, this weekend.
Yeah.
For 3 games and 3 nights. So he went there, and then
By the way, sorry, Mike,
go
he
ahead.
scored a goal in his first game. Ring the bell.
Okay, there's that.
See how demanding he is? Demanding. Will Urban be back?
I got to follow up. I think it's a good opportunity. I think it's a chance for him to prove himself and maybe stick a little bit longer. But I got to kind of follow up with that today
All
and
right.
see the status of that. Then obviously with the suspension Saturday, we were short already, so I felt like I had to bring somebody up for the night, and we put Cameron back on D. I thought he did a great job. So, this week's kind of tough with making roster changes, having a Wednesday game, but certainly after evaluating this weekend and maybe Wednesday and Saturday, I think changes have to be made.
Yeah. Tell me about the player that got called up Saturday, because that was a pretty quick call up.
Pulowski.
Oh yeah, he was somebody I had watched film on last spring actually. I'm from Central New York. I played college there. That's where he played college. I know his college coach well. And I've had a buddy of mine who's been kind of in my ear the last month about bringing him. So it was kind of a situation where the stars aligned, and again, we were short. He was kind of just sitting in Columbus and looking for an opportunity. So I thought it made sense, and it worked out for him. He was able to score in his first game.
Yeah,
so.
I was going to say he made an impression in his first game.
Right.
Not only that, but it was a power play goal, which it's been a
Been a while. Yes,
been a
yeah,
few
one of
games
those.
since we got
Yes,
one. So.
yes.
I wanted to ask about his jersey specifically. Did you guys just not have all the letters necessary to put his name on his jersey? Because it was
Is that
just
for me or no?
whoever. Because
no,
back of
I'll-
his jersey just said "Pole."
I'll tell this. Yeah. So our equipment manager, Evan Watts, he didn't have enough letters left.
I made the call.
So
We don't have any other K's, man. I don't know what I'm gonna just put "Pole" on it. It'll be
It's fine. We'll work it out.
technically, I don't think that's untrue because I'm pretty sure he is Polish, and a Pole is a Polish person.
Right.
So-
all right.
So it kind of
it works on a lot of levels.
It does.
I say you leave it alone.
Just
Don't
let it
mess
be.
with
Well, he
it.
scored, right?
He
So
scored,
it's
so you
all-
can't
Don't
change it now.
mess with that.
You can't now.
He's
There
just
you go.
Pole.
Yeah.
Leave "Pole" on the jersey.
It'd be better at this point to just go with documentation and change his name.
Just two pole.
Now, Coach Michael, you aren't aware of this, but my wife is an incredibly aggressive Macon Mayhem
She's
fan.
a hockey hooligan.
Okay.
And she came to a realization Saturday, and Divine had a very, very aggressive game Friday night and ended up with a suspension on Saturday. Where did he play last year?
I think he played in the Federal League a bit, and then he was in Pensacola. for a
Okay.
little bit as
Here was
well.
the realization that she
yeah.
came to, because Divine, a fan favorite, Ashley loves his aggressive style of play because, again, she's a hooligan.
She's a hooligan.
She came to the realization, wait a minute, I hated Divine last year.
For the same actions that he's doing this year.
For the exact same thing that he does for the Mayhem now.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
That's hockey, baby.
That was an interesting suspension, but I do want to point out that when he got his 5 for fighting in the first period, he really did a good job getting the fans into it.
Yeah, there's no doubt about
There's
that.
no doubt about that.
As he was skating off the ice, he kind of did
the
Got him rowdy.
Some
Lifted him up.
Yeah.
WWE like things.
Which is WWE night, Saturday night.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I want to say, what was it? Before that, he had gotten into some penalty trouble too, like back-to-back roughings, and,
Yeah.
then a fight, which also coincided with an interference penalty or
Oh,
something
okay.
like that. He passed his season total in penalty minutes in one period.
Yes. That's what we like to do.
We're not going to talk about that stat. Because we got to stay out of the penalty box.
You know,
We've got to stay out of the
you can't
penalty
skate
box.
if you're in the penalty box, man. You can't.
Well, look, I know a lot's on your shoulders, Coach, and we wish you the best of
Yeah.
luck and continued success. And it was really cool, I would say, this Friday and Saturday night to watch how involved you were with the game and with the players during the progress of the game. And yeah, we're looking for big things out of you, man.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, and hopefully we can kind of turn the tide a bit and make some moves here.
That's what we're all counting on. So Wednesday night away game, Saturday night back at the Centreplex for WWE night.
Yes, sir. I wish we still had the John Seamer music going. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
get you.
Do you still have it saved?
He might.
Might have to browse for a
He
little while.
may.
I played it once on the show last year, if you guys
could.
recall.
I don't think I've got it.
Oh, that's too bad.
By the way, Coach, he also makes us play his intro twice.
Twice,
During
coach.
every interview.
Twice.
Just a
Like
propaganda
twice
machine.
at the beginning or once?
Once at the beginning,
Okay,
once at the end.
Okay.
He probably wanted once in the middle if it didn't seem too greedy.
If you want to throw your headphones on, I
I
really
might.
appreciate
Yeah, you need to hear this, coach, because
how amazing
I mean,
this is.
I mean, I do like it because I'm all over it. So I mean, I can't be.
But yeah, it makes us play it
He
twice.
hasn't heard this yet, I don't think.
I'm ready.
Well, Coach Alex Von Coydel, thank you for being here this morning. Here's that intro for you one more time.
Alex Von Coydel, the voice. From Alex Von Coito, the voice. Voice.
So
Alex
awkward.
Von Coito, the voice. 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 Alex Von Coito.
All right, there we go. Here's the Black Pumas and colors on the creek.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. We hope you enjoyed that Creekside interview segment with the new head coach for the Macon Mayhem, Ryan Michael, and myself. Coach Michael in just his 4th game behind the bench as the head coach of the Macon Mayhem. He won in his first game against Evansville 8 days ago. The Bolts bounced back on Saturday night, took a 4-2 victory, and Pensacola able to oust the Mayhem on Wednesday night, Thanksgiving Eve. They had a great third period. The Mayhem had a pretty darn good first period, holding Pensacola to just 3 shots on goal, which was just one away from tying a franchise record. The Mayhem, at just 1 point in their history before, have allowed just 2 shots on goal in a single period. I beg your pardon, it's happened 3 times. Still an impressive period. The last time it happened, the Mayhem outshot Peoria 11-2 in the third period of a 5-3 loss to Peoria back on November 8th of 2019. So that was this year. There have been a few cases like that in which the Mayhem just have not allowed many shots on goal. Unfortunately for them, two of the 3 shots they allowed were A+ scoring chances, and the Ice Flyers converted on one of them. The first was a centering feed, which found, I believe it was Blake Young, at point-blank range, the right side of the net, and the pass was right on his tape. Entma had to lunge over to make a sprawling lateral pad save with his left leg. That was Pensacola's first official shot on goal, and Entma, you got to tip your cap to him for being ready for it. Typically, goaltenders struggle when going a long period of time without facing a shot on goal. It's hard to get into a rhythm. It's hard to be prepared for a great opportunity like that, but Entma was, so a stick tap to the Macon goaltender for making that stop to keep his team tied. They eventually took advantage, and they thanked him for it. Jimmy Soper, 10:46 into the game. 10:46 into being back from a 3-game hiatus in which he was back home in Waterloo, Ontario to take care of some family matters. Just got back on the score sheet right away and picked up right where he left off. Jimmy Soper with his 4th goal on the campaign and 6th point. A huge strike for number 13 in blue. Gave the Mayhem a 1-0 lead. But then Pensacola came back. They capitalized on a terrific move. Garrett Milan really just undressed the Mayhem defense and cut his way down the slot deep to the backhand. And Kevin Entma was just sort of hung out to dry. There was not much he could do in that situation. And Garrett Milan clearly, just by watching the way he pulled that off, folks, it looked like somebody who's attempted and succeeded on that very move hundreds and hundreds of times. So it was sort of just like clockwork for him at that point, and the extremely skilled forward for Rod Aldoff and the Ice Flyers leveled the score at a goal apiece. That goal coming 16:40 into the first period. So Jimmy Soper, Garrett Milan, the goal scorers through the opening 20. Let's take a look around the SPHL for your out-of-town scoreboard update, presented by Hampton Inn and Suites. It's another busy night in the Southern Professional Hockey League. All 10 teams are active this evening. The Knoxville Ice Bears up big against the Fayetteville Marksmen, who've been on a bit of a skid lately after a red-hot start. Early in the third period, Jeff Carr and company lead the Marksmen by a 4-2 score. 4-1 score, I beg your pardon. So Knoxville has been red hot. They continue on that trend. Right now they sit just a mere 2 points behind Fayetteville in the standings, so they can actually tie them tonight if the score holds. Birmingham is in Roanoke this evening. The struggling Rail Yard Dogs trailing on home ice to the Birmingham Bulls, who played last night and then traveled. Jamie Hicks and company up a goal to none early in period 2. And a Midwestern clash, Evansville, Quad City, yet to begin. That's in the pregame festivities. And then Huntsville will take on Peoria, also a Central Standard Time puck drop, 8:15 p.m. local Eastern Time. The Huntsville Havoc, the defending President's Cup champs, taking on the defending Coffee Trophy champions in Peoria. Mixed reactions from the crowd here as our public address announcer read off the score from the Auburn-Alabama game. I believe it was 48-45 is what I heard in favor of the Auburn Tigers. So obviously that game has pretty big implications here in Dogs country, but I don't know who of those two Georgia rivals, the fans here at the Macon Centreplex, despise more? That's really the question. I'm not sure if Alabama is the greater rival or Auburn. One could probably argue for both sides. In the meantime, back to brass tacks. The Mayhem about to get underway here in period 2. A 1-1 score heading into the second stanza. Excellent first period by the Mayhem. They outshot the Ice Flyers by a 9-3 margin. The Ice Flyers coming into this game, the highest shooting team in the SPHL, also allowing the fewest shots on goal per game in the SPHL. So to triple them in shots on goal is a tremendous accomplishment. But they've got to continue to keep the pressure on. Pensacola, obviously pretty winded. Pretty short-handed on the blue line coming into this game. They played on Wednesday, they played last night on the road, and they're finishing up the road trip tonight before heading back down to Pensacola. So it's been a busy week for the Ice Flyers. Combine all that with a Thanksgiving turkey on Thursday, and they've got to be pretty close to running on fumes here. The Mayhem probably pretty tired themselves, but Pensacola certainly more reason to be winded coming into this tilt. We'll see how this second period unfolds. We're back underway here as Jimmy Soper leaves the puck in the neutral zone for Jarrett Cupp. His pass is taken by Caesar, who will dump it in. Kupski leaves it behind his net, and the hit is thrown inside of the trapezoid. Danny Caesar digging around in the slot looking for it, but the Ice Flyers have taken command and have cleared it off of the linesman down into Macon territory as Jarrett Cupp spins back and sends it to Cousineau. Puck ricochets in the direction of Oleg Kalaman. He will rattle it into the Pensacola zone. Cleared around to the near side by Jake Kupski and played by Pensacola's Ryan Marcuse. In his 7th SPHL season, he will chisel one ahead for Young, whose shot flutters off the glove of Entma and out off the right half wall. Danny Caesar able to squeak his way out in front of the Pensacola bench. It's been rimmed back in, and Entma will lead it now for Ben Campbell. Campbell's long pass finds Sumalitis in front of the Mayhem bench. The puck will flutter its way back to Craig Sescon, and the Pensacola captain fought twice in the first period. Here comes Sumalitis. Into the zone will fire. That one was blocked by Jesse Kessler, who in a bit of discomfort as he sort of limps his way to the right half wall to make a play. He outlets one out of his own zone. Will now head to the Ice Flyers bench. He looks to be in some discomfort. We'll keep an eye on number 27 in white for you as his situation unfolds. Here comes Pirog down the left side. He will attempt to pass it to himself. It was read nicely by Kyle Fraze. Pirog loves doing that on his zone entries, the self-pass. He's very good at it, but play was well made by Kyle Fraze. Now a slap shot by Milan is stopped by Entma, and a second backhander also denied by Entma on Joseph Drapluk. Steven Pirog's able to get away with that self-pass more often than others, not just because of his speed, which is pretty high end, but also because of his work ethic. He doesn't give up on loose pucks. He's been one of Macon's top forecheckers this season. He knows how to pressure opposing puck carriers, particularly in the offensive zone. Marcus Ortiz flies one above the height of the Texas Roadhouse dasher board on the far side of the ice. A 4 or 5 player scrap ensues near the Earthall chiropractic dasher taken by Keplinger, centered for Ortiz, whose shot flutters just wide of the net. Played by Brett DeAndrea. He will rim one around to the far wall. Tanner Fraze has it. He slides it into the Pensacola slot, and Kyle Fraze will skate out with it. He dumps it in. Entma makes a play with his stick and decides to just hang on to it and get a stoppage. 17:44 to go in the second period. 1-1 is your score. Brett DeAndrea, the Bowling Green State grad, played his rookie season in Pensacola last year and registered 25 points in 31 games. Spent about half his rookie season with the Ice Flyers. Defensive zone win by Josh Cousineau cleanly. Danny Caesar able to fire one out to Drapluk just beyond the blue line. Huge hit thrown on Drapluk by Jimmy Soper. Big hit brought to you by Harrison's Body Shop. Here come the Mayhem, 3-on-2. Cousineau, rink wide, Caesar enters the zone, right wing, good pass. Soper had it just go beyond his reach. And the puck bounces to Tyler Andrews, who's cleared one ahead. And here comes Pensacola's Blake Young, who will dangle his way into the right corner. He's closed off by Cameron. And that just happened to be the door that leads down to the Macon Tunnel, which is an extremely loose one. I know from firsthand experience. The hit thrown by Cameron caused the door to come off temporarily. They've placed it back onto its mooring. I don't think the clock's been running for the past minute or so, because the last time we had looked up it was at 17:44 before the last whistle. Now we're at 17:40. We'll Some quantum physics hockey that just took place for the past minute, in which time was not a factor. Defensive zone face-off win by Steven Pirog. The puck ricochets off the near half wall. The Mayhem have cleared it out to the red line. Craig Sescon slides it back to Jesse Kessler. Good to see him back on the ice. He appears to be all right after taking that stinger by Sumalitas by a block shot. It's rattled back by Ederer, now given to Sescon and flung over to Kessler. Three-way passing play finds Ederer. Here comes Tommaso Bucci, who's wiped out. A penalty will be called against Macon. It's going to be a trip called against the Mayhem, and the Ice Flyers back to the power play for the second time tonight.
Fans, make sure to share your experience of tonight's game on social media.
Caleb Cameron, the guilty party, skating to the Beyond Taboo Tattoo penalty box at the moment. Macon on Wednesday night went to the box 5 times. They killed off all 5 Pensacola power plays. By comparison, they went to the man advantage just twice. This is a very sharp contrast in terms of discipline heading into this tilt, folks, in terms of the head-to-head matchup. Macon averages 9 penalties more per game than the Ice Flyers do. With the season being this young, that is a very telling statistic. The Ice Flyers winning the offensive zone draw. Jesse Kessler rattles it down the adjacent half wall, and it's Joseph Drapluk. Kessler slides it over. Here comes Ortiz, shorthanded, down the left wing. Kessler hustles back. Ortiz with a shot. Kick save made by Jake Kupski, and he keeps the Mayhem leading goal scorer off the score sheet for now. Racing back in transition will be Tommaso Bucci, who scored last night in Birmingham. It's dropped off to the line. Garrett Milan gives it to Kessler, who tees up and fires. Glove save by Kevin Etma. Excellent job done by the Adrian College product, tracking that shot through traffic. Etma still with his Adrian College pads, his yellow and gold. Very sharp contrast to the rest of the Mayhem jersey. That's certainly a good way for him to remember his roots, so to speak. The Mayhem having killed off 29 seconds on this J&J's Heating and Air penalty kill. 16:47 to go in the second period. The puck drops. It's sent D now to Tyler Andrews, who will feed it down the right half wall. Ryan Marcuse to Milan, back to Marcuse again. Outer hash marks. That's Ustaski, I beg your pardon. His shot misses the net, and it's played left point by Eddie Matsushima. Ustaski, right point. Now right circle. He holds on and shoots. Ricochets through a lot of traffic and pinballs to the near half wall again. It's Eddie Matsushima from the left circle to Marcuse. Hot pass picked off by Pirog and cleared over the stick of Andrews and down. This penalty kills halfway through. Caleb Cameron still in the sin bin as it's played by Tyler Andrews behind his own net. Delivered up the left side for Eddie Matsushima. Pensacola's leading scorer coming into this tilt with 14 points already this season. He twists and turns and shovels it to the line. Andrews across to Ustaski, whose one-timer redirects out of play. Matt Ustaski, Winnipeg Jets draft choice in the 7th round of the 2014 NHL entry draft. Former University of Wisconsin Badger. Standing at 6'5", 220. Tommaso Bucci winning an offensive zone faceoff. Good keep by Jesse Kessler at the blue line in the deep slot straight away. Here's a shot stopped by Etma with the pads from the right circle. Bouncing puck in the slot, settled and cleared by Campbell all the way down. And Kupski is able to fling one away from the forechecking Sean Lynch. Ederer entering the Macon zone on the left side. He surveys his options and will drop it to the edge of the left circle. Tommaso Bucci on the return. Ederer gives it back to him. Bucci slides it across. Right circle slap shot from Milan is off target, and it rattles all the way back out into the neutral zone, and beyond that, the Mayhem have succeeded in killing off their second penalty of the game. Here's an opportunity following an interception by Pawlowski, who flings it over. Bounces back to the trailer, Sean Lynch, or rather Keplinger, and it's cleared off his stick. Here come the Ice Flyers. A 3-on-2 develops. Dropped off by Matsushima, and the wrist shot is on. Stopped by Etma with the stick. Good transition hockey the past couple of shifts here. Keplinger hauled down. No penalty. Patrick Meganetti, I beg your pardon, will carry in behind the Macon goal, and he will leave it off for Eddie Matsushima. Puck bounces right to Keplinger off the half wall on the far side. It's flung wing to wing. Now Marcus Ortiz attempts to enter the zone, but he's stymied nicely by Brett DeAndrea, who's not a defenseman. And not sure where that puck ended up. It must have gone into the Beyond Taboo Tattoo penalty box. That flying puck's been brought to you by Blues Painting and Home Repair. The Mayhem, in the meantime, improving to 2 for 2 on the PK tonight. The score stays level at a goal apiece. We'll be back in just a moment, folks. You're listening to Macon Mayhem Hockey on the Mayhem Broadcast Network.
You looking to raise some money for a cause and have a blast while doing it? The Mayhem would be happy to help you out through our fundraiser program, available for all home games throughout the season. You buy tickets from us for $10 each, you sell them for $15, and you keep the remaining $5 per ticket sold for whichever cause your heart desires. If you were to sell 50 tickets, for example, you would collect $250 for your fundraiser. Call our office at 478-803-1592 for more information.
Well, 5.5 minutes have passed in this second period. The Mayhem with an edge in shots on goal, 11-9, despite being shorthanded twice. Pensacola has stayed out of the box, minus the 2 fights brought on by Craig Sescon during the first period. Rare to see one player fight twice in one period, but that's what Craig Sescon did. The first was a win against Sean Lynch, the next a loss to Stathis Soumalides. Jesse Kessler worked his way out to the red line and floated in from there, just missed the stick side of Kevin Etma's goal. Larry Smith fighting for it near corner. It's whacked at by Steven Pirog, who will advance it up the near wall. Timofeyev able to scrap one out past the red line, and Fraze will drop it back to Jesse Kessler. Sescon back to Kessler. He will slide one up the middle, and it's Eddie Matsushima. Gives it to his right for Tanner Fraze, who will dump it in below the Macon goal. Caleb Cameron spins away. He's got pressure coming from Patrick Meneghetti. It's just been cleared down past Soumalides and played by Drapluk. He swerves his way into the far corner and will slide it to Sescon. Sescon's pass bounces hotly off the stick of Eddie Matsushima. Stick handling by Oleg Kalaman in close quarters, but his pass is intercepted by Drapluk. He'll advance it up the left boards and into Macon ice, and Oleg Kalaman rims it around. Bounces over Caesar. This will go far enough for icing, but it's been waved off by the linesman. Puck is played by Joseph Drapluk, who is hit hard from behind. Play resumes. It was a clean hit according to the referee, Scott McClement. Jarrett Cupp throws it directly out of play. It looked like it skittered off the top of the glass. That flying puck's been brought to you by Blues Painting and Home Repair. 13:02 to go in the second period. 1-1 remains your score. Jarrett Cupp coming into this game on a 5-game point scoring streak. He's got 2 goals and 5 assists, 7 points throughout the last 5 tilts. He's just 1 assist away from tying an all-time franchise record set by Jake Trask in 2018. Kyle Fraze to Brett DeAndrea. His cross-ice pass bounces off the stick of Young. Young gets it back in the neutral zone. Blake Young will shovel it past Cupp and into Macon territory. Kevin Etma from behind his goal. Gives it back to Cupp in the far corner. He will bounce one up to Soper. Soper springs Caesar down his off wing. Trotting ahead of him is Josh Kuzno. Caesar pulls up and fires. It ricochets off a leg, bounces to Kalaman in the right corner. Kalaman leaves it, and Soper went down. No tripping penalty called. Outlet pass finds Ustaski on the left side. Goes all the way down. No icing. Kevin Etma will play it and deliver it to Jarrett Cupp. He's under some duress. He will slide it along the end wall. Oleg Kalaman's breakout pass finds the man, Josh Keplinger, in stride. Keplinger carries into the right corner. He's knocked off the puck, gets back onto his skates and tries to send it up the boards. Didn't have enough gas on it. It's picked off by Ederer and flung over to Jesse Kessler. He will enter the zone, dump it in behind the net before taking a big body check. Loose puck is collected by Cameron on the far side. He will hoist it up in the air. It's gloved down by Kessler at center ice. Given to Sescon. Now up to Ederer. Michael Ederer sent one behind the Macon goal line. Here comes Keplinger on the counterattack. Up to the red line. Will fire it in on net off the glove of Jake Kupski. 11:34 to go here in the second period. We've got a 1-1 tie on our hands. Both goals were scored in the opening 20-minute stanza. Tommaso Bucci kicked it too far into his path. As a result, the Mayhem take over. It's dumped into the zone by Campbell and halted by Kupski behind his net. Pirog blocked the clearing attempt, couldn't do so a second time as the Flyers have gotten it out past the blue line. Spinning with it near the red line now is Tommaso Bucci, who will leave it back to captain Craig Sescon. Sean Lynch intercepts at center. Gives it to Pirog, now up to Soper. Pirog gets it right back, loses it in the slot. Again gets it back, nice toe drag, but his shot didn't have much on it. And it's taken away by Peoria's Joseph Drapluk. Pensacola, I beg your pardon. Pensacola down the left side. Drapluk will leave it for Garrett Milan. Good keep at the point by Tyler Andrews, who steps around to check and fires. Ricochets off a leg and wide of the goal. And now it's Eddie Matsushima on the left half wall. Had a 4-point night last Wednesday against the Mayhem. 2 goals and as many assists, including the empty netter, which iced the game. Jarrett Cupp leading the attack. Left circle. Cupp twists a pass through the crease. Bounces off the right half wall. Ortiz will rim one around to the far side. Cupp wanted to get off the ice for a change, but the puck was coming his way, so he decided to stay out a second longer. And now it's Tanner Fraze entering the Macon zone. His shot whistles wide of the right post. Puck is collected by Kalaman and flung up the wall. Held in the zone nicely at the point by Matsushima and sent over to the far corner on the opposite side of the ice. Jimmy Soper knocked down, gets it to Kuzno, who will drop it to Cameron in the far corner. Cameron floats a saucer pass up into the neutral zone. It's intercepted by Brett DeAndrea. Given up to Matt Ustaski now. He will flutter one over the Macon blue line. Kuzno's back on it. Kuzno's pass goes off the stick of Ortiz. He settles it. Ortiz picks up speed as he charges down the left wing. His off wing. He shovels a backhander on goal. It's denied by Kupski. Blake Young turns it over. Kalaman races in. He sends it over. Good pass, but it was picked off by Matt Ustaski at the last moment. There's an injured ice flyer. Kyle Fraze is down behind the play. Blake Young with a slap shot, stopped by Entma. Kyle Fraze skating back to the Ice Flyers bench. There's a scrum ensuing in the Macon slot at the moment. Jimmy Soper seems to be involved as he's being escorted away by the linesman from the scrap. I'm not sure what happened to Kyle Fraze, folks. It looked like he might have face planted on the ice in the Pensacola slot. He was holding his face on the way back to the Pensacola bench, the University of Alaska Fairbanks product. We've just passed the halfway point of regulation. 9:14 to go in the second. 1-1 your score here at the Macon Centreplex. Hope you're enjoying the broadcast, folks. We'll be back in just a moment. You're listening to Macon Mayhem Hockey on the Mayhem Broadcast Network.
The beloved family 4-pack is back. The Mayhem are offering this incredibly affordable package for several games throughout the season. For just $50, you receive 4 tickets and a $30 gift card to Texas Roadhouse at 5080 Riverside Drive right here in Macon. The dates for these 4-pack nights will be announced on social media as they become finalized, so be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube for all the most up-to-date content.
So Tommaso Bucci will line up for an offensive zone face-off on the left side of your screen for Pensacola. He couldn't quite get the better of David Pawlowski there. Ben Campbell takes over. Below his own goal line, he spins. Buys enough separation to clear the puck out. And it bounces now on top of the right circle in the Pensacola zone. Not far enough for icing as Kessler will tap it off the backboards and Pawlowski goes after it. He jams it back to the line, taken by Timofeyev, who loses a handle on the puck. And finally, a penalty will be called against Pensacola. Macon has not gone to the power play yet tonight, and they will get a chance to do so now, hooking the infraction against the visitors. Pensacola, a league low 8.8 penalty minutes per game coming into this tilt. Have done an outstanding job this season of staying clear of the sin bin, but Garrett Milan, the Ice Flyers' lone goal scorer this evening, is going to have a seat. So Milan to the All-State bonding penalty box. The Mayhem to their first Wild Wing Cafe power play of this game. Steven Pirog to take the offensive zone face-off to the right of Jake Kupski, countered by Eddie Matsushima of Pensacola. 8:49 to play in the second period. We've got a 1-1 tie. The Mayhem with an impeccable opportunity to regain the lead. As Timofeyev will slide one to Caleb Cameron at the right point. He is slammed down into the half wall near the blue line. Manages to keep the puck in play somehow. Timofeyev spins away from Matsushima. Left circle will fire. Blocked. And the loose puck skitters its way into the far corner. Timofeyev fighting for it with Soper. Gets it back. Slides it to the point. Caleb Cameron's got it. Pirog right point. Right circle now. Sends it to the goal line. Soper tries to center, hoping for Sumalitis. Went off of a stick, and the Flyers have cleared it past Cameron and down. Entma well out of his net. Decides to play it safely to Caleb Cameron instead of attempting a Hail Mary pass. Pirog redirects it out to the Pensacola blue line. It's taken by Sescon and flung back down. This Mayhem power play has quickly lost 50 seconds as Caleb Cameron will begin the breakout from his own zone. He delivers it to Pirog. He is tripped, and Drapluk will be going to the box. I beg your pardon, Ustaski will. But the Mayhem to their first 5-on-3 of this game. They do not get these very often. We'll see if they can convert. A huge chance now for the Mayhem to regain their lead. They've got a good, long 62 seconds on a two-man advantage. Coming into this game, the Mayhem power plays have continued, just 8% on the season, which is good enough for 8th best in the SPHL. We've seen this, I guess we'll call it a phenomenon, happening across all leagues, but in the Southern Professional Hockey League in particular, the penalty kill percentage has increased while the power play percentage has decreased on average. I believe I just saw Patrick Meganetti go down the Pensacola tunnel, folks, so hopefully he's okay. I saw the trainer for the Ice Flyers following him down there. Here's Jarrett Cupp at the blue line. Winds, slap pass, Keplinger bottom of the right circle. Back to Cupp in the mid slot. Feeds it over to Caesar, who hammers a one-timer off the side of the goal. Scurrying over to the left half wall to keep it in the zone was Caesar, but it bounced hotly off his skate and back into Macon territory. Jarrett Cupp circles back. 40 seconds on the 5-on-3. Cupp racing out to center. Gives it to Caesar. Enters the zone. Slides it to his left. Keplinger left circle. He will drop it to the point. Caesar returns it. Keplinger far corner. Now to Ortiz. Now to Caesar at the blue line. Ortiz far circle. Wrist shot. Shoulder save by Kupski. Loose puck in the end wall area. Cousineau fighting for it. Spears it along for Ortiz. Cupp sets up bottom of the right circle. Ortiz to the goal line for Cousineau. Centers it. Ortiz slap shot blocked by Keplinger. Rattles back to Caesar. Given to Ortiz. Returns it. Caesar one-timer. Stick save Kupski. Far corner. 6 seconds. Given up to Caesar. Scurries over Ortiz. His shot ricochets wide. Bounces to the left half wall. Caesar's got it. He delays. Milan's out of the box. Cupp gets the pass in the slot. He fires. Punched away by Kupski with the blocker. The Ice Flyers have 4 skaters on the ice at the moment. It's a 5-on-4. Ortiz right circle. Slides into the high slot. Jarrett Cupp. Cousineau. Cupp again. One-timer stopped by Kupski. Lots of shots on this power play, but Kupski has answered the call. He has stopped everything thrown his way in this period. Kevin Entma will spin it below his own goal line. Jarrett Cupp's got it with half a minute remaining on this Wild Wing Cafe power play. It's given up to Steven Pirog, who will race in down the right side into the Pensacola zone. He delivers it into the adjacent corner. It's rimmed around to the far point, kept in the zone. And Larry Smith's shot ricochets high in the air, lands near the bottom of the right circle, and Macon captain Steven Pirog fights for it. Soper will chisel it back to the point. Timofeyev couldn't hold the line, so he is shoved down by Eddie Matsushima. Here comes Young, short-handed 2-on-1. Blake Young with a shot, fought off by Entma. Loose puck skitters out to the slot. The Mayhem get a 2-on-1 counterattack. Timofeyev left side, Pirog on his right. Timofeyev shoots, stopped by Kupski. An action-packed 2 minutes. Chances on both ends, the majority of which came on the right side of your screen. The Mayhem really doing a pretty good job of cycling the puck and getting shots on net on that 5-on-3. The biggest issue you see with 5-on-3 power plays is not enough shots on goal. Players trying to be too pretty, too perfect with each and every pass, each play. The Mayhem not doing that at all. They did a really good job of testing Kupski, and unfortunately for them, the Pensacola goaltender passed with flying colors. Kevin Entma doing a good job at countering that counterattack with a big save of his own. And that last opportunity coming off the stick of Stepan Timofeyev denied by Kupski. So some really strong goaltending on that last 5-on-3 by both parties. As speaking of, Kupski will just hold the puck in his crease. Both teams dropping to 0 for 2 on the power play tonight. Coming into this game, both of these teams in the bottom 3 of the SPHL in power play percentage. And both of them in the bottom 4 in penalty kill percentage. So special teams have not been really a strength for either of these sides. As such, they've been much better on the 5-on-5. So two teams really built for playoff hockey, you could say, as Sean Lynch from the far half wall will drop it in below the goal line. Danny Caesar has it. Caesar from the top of the left circle cycles it into the adjacent corner on the far side of the ice. Sean Lynch with it on his backhand will just put it back in behind the net again. David Pawlowski pinned to the end boards. His fellow New Yorker Sean Lynch able to pry one free as it skitters its way to the near corner, and Kyle Fraze is first to it. Can't clear it past Caleb Cameron. Getting a chance to do so now for Pensacola is Tommaso Bucci. Bucci will slide it to Brett DeAndre on the far corner. And finally the Ice Flyers have cleared the danger as Ederer advanced it as far as Cameron, but no further than that. Danny Caesar's got it now at his own blue line. He backpedals and begins to accelerate out to center. Floats a saucer pass to Sumalitas on his off wing. His shot misfires, rattles up the boards, up to the far point. Here comes the dangerous Garrett Milan. Ben Campbell better hustle back. He does. Pirog's check missed Milan. He skates away from one, then floats it over. Pinballs back in behind the net and bounced back to the right point. Jesse Kessler with a head fake. Slides it to his left for Sescon. His pass reaches Bucci. Bucci drops it into the left corner, and Caleb Cameron's got it. The RIT graduate draws a slash, and the Mayhem will go right back to the power play as Sescon gets his stick on it. And the league's least penalized team has had difficulty staying out of the box. Rod Aldoff is furious on the Ice Flyers bench. He's screaming at Scott McClement, demanding an explanation. Caleb Cameron able to draw a slash against Pensacola's Michael Ederer moments ago, and the Mayhem will get a third opportunity on the power play. Really an entire 30-plus minutes of play without getting a single man advantage, and in the past few minutes they've had three, including a minute and 2 second long 5-on-3, which they could not capitalize despite generating some quality scoring chances. Jake Kupski has certainly gotten himself into a rhythm for Pensacola. In his pro debut just 4 days ago, he stopped 26 of Macon's 29 shots on goal. 3 days ago, I beg your pardon, on Wednesday night, Thanksgiving Eve. Did not play last night in Birmingham. That honor belonged to Chase Perry, who stopped 27 of the 29 shots he faced. 25 of 27, I beg your pardon. And Chase Perry has been the workhorse goaltender for Pensacola this season, but the only times the Mayhem have played the Ice Flyers, it's been Jake Kupski in net for Rod Aldoff and company. Quick clear by the Ice Flyers. Kevin Etma wisely decides to come out of his net, or it would have been a headache for him to deal with from Ryan Marcuse. And now it's Jarrett Cupp coughing up possession to, that was Matt Ustaski, who will dump it back into the Macon zone. Left off from Etma to Cupp. Cupp will send it to his left for Keplinger. He will race down the left wing and enter the Pensacola zone. Goes wide, takes it into the far corner, and he spins. Josh Keplinger shovels it back to the point. Jarrett Cupp holds the line, slides it to the right point. Josh Cousineau has it. Bit of a bobble, salvaged possession, but it was quickly cleared by Craig Sescon past Jarrett Cupp and down. 3:26 to go here in the second period. We've got a tie, 1-1 score on our hands. We've had that score since period one. Jimmy Soper will redirect it in across the Pensacola blue line. We'll get a second chance. The Mayhem were on a delayed offside, so Sumalitas decided not to touch it. As a result, it's been cleared past Cup below the Macon goal line yet again. Half this Macon power play has already expired. This Mayhem man advantage is brought to you by Wild Wing Cafe. Here comes Captain Stephen Pirog down the left wing. Pirog centers it, great pass. Here's a shot, score! Jimmy Soper, second of the game. He's regained the lead for the Mayhem with a power play goal. It's 2-1. Welcome back, Jimmy Soper. He missed 3 games due to a family matter back home in Ontario. He comes back to Macon, and within just 37 minutes of play, scores twice. This is somebody who really loves hockey, folks. I suppose all these players obviously do as professional hockey players, but he's somebody who might even take the cake on this team in terms of who's obsessed with this sport the most. When I asked him at the start of the year what his biggest pet peeve was, he answered someone changing the channel during a hockey game. I imagine the past week, sans hockey must have been borderline torture for him. And he's getting back to what he does best. 2-1 the score in favor of Macon. A power play goal scored by Jimmy Soper, his second of the night. His first was at even strength back in the first period. 2:53 remains in the second period. The Mayhem again leading by a 2-1 margin. David Pulowski winning the neutral zone draw. Sean Lynch will accelerate this puck into the Pensacola zone. Jake Kupski halts it behind his own net where it's collected by Brett DeAndrea, and the alternate captain has it float over his stick and out in front of the Ice Flyers bench. It's been hammered back in. This will be an icing call against Macon. That icing call has been brought to you by Tropical Smoothie Cafe. 2:32 to go in the second. 2-1 Macon. Stephen Pirog getting an assist. Stathis Sumalidis with the secondary. And Pirog's assist streak continues. He's now got 11 for the Mayhem, which is by far leading the team in the entire league. Pirog is now third behind only Josh Harris of Birmingham and Ricky Kramer of Knoxville, who each have 12. David Pulowski battling for a loose puck in the corner on the near side of the ice. A 5-player scrum ensues. The Ice Flyers end up with it, and a penalty will be called against Macon this time as Oleg Kalaman is being found guilty of hooking. Pensacola back to its power play, which has struggled greatly this season. The only team in the SPHL clicking at below 5%, but you play with fire enough times, you're liable to get burned. Callum into the sin bin. Stephen Pirog, the Mayhem's best face-off man this season, will take a defensive zone draw and a critical one. 2:25 remaining in the second period. If all goes according to plan on this penalty kill, the Mayhem will return to even strength just before the period expires. And the linesman Corey Fossa drops the puck. The Flyers win the offensive zone draw. Jesse Kessler taps it down the adjacent half wall and gives a quick return pass to Tommaso Bucci. Now in the left corner, it's played by Joseph Drapluck and flung back to the line for Bucci. Bucci above the left circle to the goal line now. And it's Michael Ederer, I beg your pardon, not Drapluck. Far half wall, it's Garrett Milan. Ederer's got it now in the far corner. Michael Ederer finds a lane to get it to Kessler. His return pass, Ederer's got it, shoots and he scores. Michael Ederer slid one through Kevin Etma. Great give and go play between him and the defenseman Jesse Kessler. And Ederer has just scored his second goal of the season, answering the power play goal scored by Jimmy Soper moments ago. And we've got a 2-2 tie on our hands with 1:52 to go in the second period. Matt Ustaski winning the ensuing draw, and it's advanced up the right wall by Tyler Andrews. And that puck, I believe, went off of somebody on the Pensacola bench. So that flying puck's been brought to you by Blues Painting and Home Repair. Ederer, moments ago, scoring his second goal of the season. Puck has dropped, and the Mayhem have advanced it up to the Pensacola blue line. It's been rattled around the boards by Josh Cousineau. Cousineau delivers a big check into the end wall against Joseph Drapluck. The Flyers attempt to clear, and they succeed. Ryan Marcuse redirects it out to the red line at center. Blake Young tries to sidestep Cameron, loses the puck. Here's a quick shot by Ustaski that's handled by Kevin Etma. He swallowed it up. Ustaski now in an entanglement with Jimmy Soper near the Ortho Georgia dasher boards in the far corner of the Macon zone. Ustaski and Soper still tied up with one another, the latter of whom his helmet is sort of dangling by a thread. Jimmy Soper's got both of Macon's goals tonight. A huge return from a player that means so much to this team. Alternate captain on road trips. His third season with the Mayhem, second full season. Had an injury-riddled campaign last year, which kept him out of the lineup for 20 games, far too many for his standards. Ustaski has been sent to the penalty box. Will there be somebody on Macon's side of things to reciprocate? There will. Jimmy Soper will join Ustaski. offsetting what I can only imagine will be roughing penalties. As of right now, there is a 2-minute time allotment for both sides on the scoreboard right now. 2 minutes to 13 in blue, Jimmy Soper. 2 minutes to 8 in white, Matt Ustaski. So we'll go to the 4-on-4 for the first time tonight. Both teams 1 for 3 on the power play. The puck drops. The Flyers win the offensive zone draw. Slap shot by Sescon. Pad save Entma. Loose puck skitters to Smith, who carries it below his own goal line, and Steven Pirog will shovel it in behind the net. Cameron takes over and reverses it into the near corner now. It's going to be played by Eddie Matsushima first. His centering pass is intercepted by Cameron, who goes down to a knee and clears it past Pirog. Sescon gives it to Jesse Kessler. Sescon gets the return from his D partner. Eddie Matsushima will spring one along, and here comes Pensacola's Patrick Meneghetti, whose shot sails over the net. And it bounces right to Larry Smith, whose pass goes over the stick of Sumalitis and out into the Ice Flyers zone ultimately. Sescon drops it back to Brett DeAndrea. He will cycle it to Garrett Milan. Milan with a slap shot that gets blocked by Cameron. Puck stays in play. Bounces to the right point. DeAndrea's got it. He will give it down to the corner on the far side. Michael Ederer, who scored the most recent Ice Flyers goal, will now feed it to the opposite corner. It's Tyler Andrews who's dispossessed, and Caleb Cameron will give it over to Larry Smith. 15 seconds to go in the period. Smith gallops into the zone, bounces a shot on goal, easily dealt with by Kupski. Smith far corner, trickles one through his skates, and it's been flung around to the near side. Caesar couldn't hold it in the zone. Milan will skate out and attempt one last shot, but he's run out of time. That's done it for the opening 40. 2-2 your score. Jimmy Soper with both of Macon's goals. Pensacola's strikes coming at even strength in the first period from Garrett Milan, and then on the power play in the second period from Michael Ederer. Pensacola's power play, which has struggled greatly this season, certainly looked good on their power play goal. Two players in particular on the give-and-go play between Michael Ederer and Jesse Kessler, who was manning the blue line straightaway center, had a good lane to shoot the puck from, but decided to make the selfless play and return it to the player who fed him the pass. And Michael Ederer said thank you in the best of ways by burying that shot from the bottom of the far circle, giving Jesse Kessler a well-earned assist. And then before that, Macon's goal, as their second of the game, scored by Jimmy Soper. Soper, for him, it was his 5th of the year, second tonight. And first on the power play, it was a nice pass fed to him by Steven Pirog from below the goal line. Stathis Sumalitis was given the secondary assist just a minute and 1 second prior to the Ederer goal. Both strikes coming on power plays within 61 seconds of each other. Power plays were pretty few and far between through the first 20 minutes. In fact, there was only one of them in the first period. In the second period, there were 5. And there was also a 4-on-4, which still is not finished, by the way. There's 36 seconds remaining on it. Jimmy Soper and Matt Ustaski in their respective penalty boxes for offsetting roughing minors. Ustaski was actually given a slashing minor. Soper was given a roughing minor at the end of the second period. So there will be a 36-second segment of 4-on-4 hockey to commence period 3. In the meantime, we're tied up at 2 goals apiece here at the Macon Centreplex, folks. We hope you've enjoyed the broadcast up till this point. Whether you're a fan of the Mayhem or the Ice Flyers, we're glad to have you with us on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. Again, 2-2 your score. We'll take a quick look around the SPHL for a sort of a preemptive out-of-town scoreboard update brought to you by Hampton Inn & Suites before we bring you a clip from our last episode of Line Change with Coach Michael, Larry Smith, and former Ice Flyer Josh Cousineau. That's coming your way momentarily, but first an update from around the SPHL. Knoxville in Fayetteville. The unofficial final is the Ice Bears with 4, the Marksmen with 1, so that is all she wrote in North Carolina tonight, folks, and the Ice Bears have officially tied the Marksmen in the standings for second place in the SPHL. Both teams have been really terrific this season. Knoxville just starting to pick up a lot of steam. Fayetteville cooling off a little bit after a red-hot start. In Roanoke, meanwhile, that game is 2/3 of the way through. The Birmingham Bulls visiting the Crown Coliseum in Roanoke, Virginia. 1-0 score in favor of the Bulls. Evansville up 1-0 over the Quad City Storm halfway through period 1 up at the Tax Slayer Arena on the Illinois-Iowa border. And finally in central Illinois, scoreless between the Rivermen and the Huntsville Havoc, again halfway through period 1. That wraps up your second out-of-town scoreboard update brought to you by Hampton Inn and Suites. Like we said, folks, we're going to play back an archived file of our last episode of Line Change with Mayhem head coach Ryan Michael, along with player guests Josh Kuzno and Larry Smith. That's coming your way next on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. Keep it right here, folks. You're listening to Macon Mayhem Hockey on SPHL Live, powered by Endeavor Streaming and on YouTube.
I'm just going to ask Coach Michael and the gentleman to his right a couple of questions. Going to sort of ask about, some of the things in their personal lives that you might not know, some of the things on the ice, and then for my personal favorite part of the show, you guys will own the sort of middle part where you can ask any question you'd like. We've got a crowd mic that we're going to pass around. The only thing that we do ask is that when you have a question, just please make sure that you ask it into the microphone, because we're going to make sure that every question and comment gets recorded. We're going to post this on our YouTube channel after the show is over. And then to wrap the entire show up, we're just going to sort of take a look into the upcoming week. We've got Pensacola tomorrow night, and then we host them on Saturday for WWE night. So one thing that I'm going to make a note of is that Coach Michael is in a bit of a rush. He's got to run to the airport after the show's over and drop his girlfriend Kenzie off. She's going home for the holidays, so we just do ask that you please do be respectful of our time. We're going to try to keep the show as brief as possible and make sure that we're getting out of here shortly after 6:30. Coach, the first question I wanted to ask you is, now that you've been in town, you've been a head coach for exactly 1 week as of today. What have been some of the biggest things that you've learned in that time?
I think the biggest thing is just the day-to-day practice plan. Who's hurt that day, what lines, what do I want to do, dealing with getting calls on call-ups, and especially with the Urban situation the night before a game, and trying to scramble to find somebody to play that weekend. So I think just the biggest thing is the day-to-day. My day is certainly a lot more busy. I'm getting a lot more phone calls than I obviously have in the past. So it's been a challenge and certainly a grind, but I'm just trying to make the best of it so far.
Right, the situation you were in last year as an assistant coach, in terms of actually constructing the roster and making roster decisions, that wasn't really so much a part of your job description as it is now. Now you're the guy. Roster decisions fall on you. We've already seen one call-up work pretty well in his debut last weekend in David Pulowski, but I guess going forward, how aggressive do you plan to be in the coming weeks in terms of sort of shaping the roster for the rest of the season and making some personnel decisions?
Aggressive as I feel like I have to be, I guess. I'm more of a will beat skill kind of a person, and detail oriented, doing little things well and making sure everyone's on the same page. And for me, it's you're all in or you're all out. So for the most part this weekend, I thought that was good, and moving forward, that's my expectation. And if I feel like some people aren't doing it, then that's it. So moving forward, I'm going to change as many pieces as I feel like I need to until I find the right puzzle that I like to put on the ice.
And a couple of guys who we know that bring it each and every night are here tonight. Larry Smith, Josh Kuzno. Larry, I'm going to address the first question I have to you. The guys last season, they called you Big Country. Has that nickname stuck, and has it continued into this season?
Yeah, it's stuck pretty well, actually. Cameron came up with it. Not sure where he got it from, but he came up with it, and it's stuck pretty well. So it's still being tossed around.
So that was never a nickname before?
Nope.
Okay, interesting. Last, sort of stemming off of that, last year you missed Camo Night. You weren't able to suit up due to injury, and it was especially unfortunate because your folks had made the trip into town from Buffalo to watch you play, and you couldn't go. This time around, not only did you get to suit up for Camo Night, but you were sort of the ambassador for that weekend, and you got to kind of be the face of Camo Weekend. How special was all that for you?
I always loved doing that stuff. Anything outdoors or anything camo always gets me going, and especially when you can be on the ice in camo. I mean, that's pretty cool, I guess.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I'm not sure it's a coincidence, but you got your first point of the season 16 seconds into wearing those jerseys. You set up Sean Lynch with a really good keep at the blue line.
It was offside.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. I went back and watched the goal.
Be honest.
That was the next question I was going to ask.
Yeah,
I went back.
Off by a lot.
It was off by a lot. Okay, well, I went back and
played it off pretty well.
yeah, you did. I went back and watched it, and it did not look offside. So, if hockey doesn't work out, then consider being an actor.
Yeah,
You sold it.
That's one of the bounces that we needed. So.
Okay, Josh, I'm going to ask the next question I have to you. You, Friday night, got a big goal, first one since the home opener. Breakaway that kind of sealed the game. Can you just walk us through the play?
Yeah, I guess I think our guy Rolgi just got out of the penalty box there, and he had some good back pressure, and I kind of got lucky. He sprung me, and just kind of that's my go-to move, I guess. That's my only move, so kind of got lucky there and slid it past the goalie.
I was going to say, I've been told that it went through the goalie's 5-hole. That was not your intention. Is that true?
I mean, I kind of planned to put it there,
Okay.
but we can go with that.
So one saying he didn't mean to score that way, and the other saying he did. Interesting so far. Josh, it's your first time going back to Pensacola. You played there a long time. You were there for 4 seasons, won a championship. You were captain there last year. What's it going to be like for you to go back to that city and this time lace them up for the opposite side?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be a pretty emotional night. I circled this on the calendar. I feel like, got a little unfinished business, so, I kind of want to go in there and just do what I can to help the boys win.
Definitely. And one question I wanted to ask before we kind of open the floor up is, I saw that one of your fun facts for the game programs that we did this year was that you won a ball hockey tournament in Prague in 2017. National championship, is that right, in ball hockey?
Yeah, that's correct.
Can you sort of, explain what that sport is like? How similar is it to ice hockey?
I mean, it's a little bit similar. Obviously, we're on our running shoes, so, no gliding out there. That's the biggest, I guess, aspect. But, I mean, it's kind of, it's a team game. It's a little bit like soccer in a way, like towards moving the ball around and whatnot. But, yeah, it's kind of like ice hockey. And, yeah.
Are there positions? Is it still 5?
Yeah, it's still 5-on-5.
Okay.
The only difference, I guess, is offside rule. Once you bring the ball inside the blue line becomes like the red line. So you have like the whole offensive zone. So
Interesting.
yeah.
And I know that there's some players in this league who played roller hockey and played it professionally and went, to the World Championships and things like that. Were there guys in this league who you knew that played ball hockey as well?
Not too many, really. It's pretty big up in Ontario, from my little hometown. So we got a lot of guys from there. But yeah, not too. I think roller hockey's a little bit bigger.
Right. Okay, great. Well, the last question I have for you guys before I let the fans start asking things is, Saturday night was our first jersey auction of the season. I guess I'm curious because I don't really get the updates up in the press box, but how did the jerseys sell? How did your guys' jerseys do in the auction?
I think mine went for like $330, I think, or something like that. So it's
Yeah, I think mine was similar.
Great.
Pretty good.
Awesome. Larry, I'm sure you would have liked to keep that jersey.
I already have one, so
That's
another
true.
one would be nice. But
Awesome. All right, guys. That's all the questions I have. Anything you'd like to ask or comment? The floor is now yours. Again, the only thing we ask is that you please wait until the mic reaches you, and then go ahead and have at it. So, go ahead.
All right, this first question is for all the guys on stage. So this will be the first time in the first 6 or 7 weeks of the season that you guys aren't playing back-to-back games. On this weekend, you guys have the game tomorrow and then the one on Saturday. So how does that sort of change as far as, routine goes for you guys?
Mixes it up for sure. Having a game in the middle of the week, it's different. For me, I think it's a little tougher just because there's so many things that I see in film or whatnot that I want to maybe adjust or talk about, and not having ice yesterday and trying to kind of compile a practice today, based on prioritizing what things I feel are more important, at the same time while getting a good sweat and skill-based stuff. So it's an adjustment for sure because, again, the Wednesday game breaks up our week, Thanksgiving Thursday and maybe just to practice Friday to get ready for Saturday. It's just, how do I prioritize, what I feel like is most important? Is it special teams? Is it D-zone breakout, neutral zone coverage, things of that nature? So at least on my end of it, it's a little bit challenging just because I don't have 4 days to break things up, and I have to decide what's most important right now to fix.
Honestly, I kind of treat it almost the same way. I just take care of my body more because we play right against on the weekend. So, yeah, I honestly just do the same thing, treat my body the same way, and that's about it.
Yeah, kind of similar, just quick turnaround. So you just want to try to keep your body in the best shape that you can, and that gives you the best, performance the next night. So.
Larry, this is for you. Last year you were so gentle. You didn't get in the penalty box but like once. I want to know what's happened to you.
I tried to turn it up a little bit. Mike's told me I got to play with a little more of an edge, so that's what I've been trying to do this year. And I try to be like as consistent as possible with my game too. So I've tried to be as consistent with that as well. So that's kind of where that came from.
That's a good question.
Well, Coach, how do you think the players have responded just over the past, week and a half? Just the changes made and everything?
Pretty good, I think. It's obviously last week was kind of emotionally tough, and a quick turnaround on some things, and having 2 days to kind of prepare in ways that I feel like are important. And I'm not like a loud, overcoming voice. I'm 175 pounds. I'm losing weight, so I'm not the most intimidating person, obviously. So, my methods is just more to kind of be stern, but not yell, and be more relatable. And they've been great and giving me their ear and their respect. And I just can't ask for anything more than that.
As I'm sure you all know, Sean O'Brien, he's somebody who always comes, full to the brim with questions. He wasn't able to make it this week. So, as always, when he can't make it, he texts me some of his questions. One of them is for Coach Michael. Coach, he wanted to know, with only 4 defensemen able to dress for Saturday's game, the forward was shifted to play defense. How does having 5D and 9 forwards change the way the lines are rotated?
It makes it interesting, for sure. Preferably not be in that situation if possible with the roster, but, it was a great opportunity for Urban, and, certainly I'm never going to stand in the way of those things. So I told these guys, going into the week and into the last weekend that, obviously I've got lines, and starting out the game, guys are going to go with the same guys, and the way I look at it is, and for the most part Saturday, I felt like there was a lot of changes in lines, and maybe that's good or bad, but, I'm just going to, if guys are playing well or, working harder that night, they're going to go out again, and kind of that's my mindset going forward is, to reward guys for playing well, and the guys that aren't, doing the things that we need or not helping us win are going to play less. So that's my mindset with it.
And he wanted to follow up with that. I already asked you this, but for some of the folks who might not know what the reasoning in behind this decision was, why put Cameron out of all your available forwards? Why put him on defense, which, by the way, it seemed like he played pretty well back there, so it seemed like it was probably a pretty good decision.
He actually wanted to. Part of it was, he's a guy that will do anything that's asked of him. He's a team player and just wants to help us win. And I think at times last year even I might have put him back there at a few shifts. So it's not, alien to him. And while I will say his backward skating is probably not elite, he does a good job of angling and doing the little things well to not get beat. And, watching the film from Saturday, just because I'm so consumed during the game with watching 100 different things, I thought he did a pretty good job. So.
Yeah. When he was at RIT, he mostly played left wing, and then he came here, and Leo and Coach Michael, they sort of helped him transition to play center, and now he's playing defense as well. So kind of a Swiss Army knife.
I noticed there was some confusion about Renee Hunter's current situation. Would you clarify his status, or any of you guys?
Yeah, he just felt the need that he wanted to kind of go home and be home for a bit, and as it stands right now, that's kind of where it still is, and I have his number, and he knows that if he ever wants to get in touch, if it's hockey related or not, he's more than welcome to, and we'll kind of go from there. But at the moment, it's status quo with that.
This question is for Josh. Josh, I know your parents were here this past weekend, so how did it feel knowing they were sitting up in the stands when you scored that goal?
Yeah, it's definitely awesome when your family's in town. They get down as much as they can to support me. So, yeah, it's always nice when they're there, and especially happened to get a goal that night. Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Okay, well, welcome back, everybody. We hope you enjoyed that excerpt from our last episode of Line Change with Coach Ryan Michael. Every Tuesday night, the Mayhem will be at the Rookery, the Creek Stage at the Rookery in downtown Macon, 543 Cherry Street from 6 to 6:30 p.m. Come on by and enjoy some delicious handcrafted Macon food and pay a visit to Coach Michael, myself, and two player guests. We'll have two different players each and every week. Come on out. It's a lot of fun. You get to enjoy some nice food, get to ask any one of the four of us any question your heart desires. We've had really just a great time at the Rookery every Tuesday night for the past season and a half. The show debuted in February 12th, if I'm not mistaken, of last season. And since then, we've just had a blast. We've only missed 1 week due to traveling conflicts, so we'd love to have you out there. The crowd last Tuesday was pretty good considering it being Thanksgiving week and all. It was Fat Tuesday, so folks took advantage and came out to enjoy some nice food at the Rookery and ask some questions to Coach Michael and Larry Smith and Josh Cousineau. By the way, I know that we've got some folks tuned in from the Pensacola side tonight, obviously. So for those of you tuned in particular, we hope you enjoyed that segment with Josh Cousineau, former Pensacola Ice Flyers captain during the 2018-19 season. And he said in Line Change how he circled Wednesday night's tilt on his calendar. We've got 36 seconds of carryover time on the 4-on-4. 2-2 is your score at the onset of period 3. Both of Macon's goals have come off the stick of Jimmy Soper, who missed the past 3 games due to a personal matter. Since he's been back within 40 minutes, he has scored twice. Pensacola's strikes coming off the sticks of Garrett Milan and Michael Ederer in that order. Milan's coming at even strength after a brilliant move in which he really just sliced through the Macon defense like a hot knife through butter. And then on the power play, Pensacola's Michael Ederer completing a nice give-and-go play with Jesse Kessler. Kessler got the primary assist. Eddie Matsushima, if I'm not mistaken, got the secondary, and Michael Ederer finished it off with a second goal of the season, giving Pensacola a rare power play goal. They have struggled on the man advantage this season, so I'm sure for them it felt really great to get that one. In the meantime, we're back for third period action here at the Macon Centreplex. 4-on-4 hockey. Steven Pirog's shot just 4 seconds into the period to flex off a stick and out of play. 8 seconds have actually ticked off the clock. 2-2 is the score through the first 40 minutes and 8 seconds. of this contest. Stephen Pirog going to work on an offensive zone face-off to the right of Jake Kupski. Eddie Matsushima countering him. Pirog with a clean win on the draw. Sumalides turns it wide to the far post. Takes an awkward bounce off the far corner boards, and Kalaman reaches it first and pokes it in front of the net, but good play made by Kupski to cut it off before it got into a dangerous area of the ice. Jake Kupski's been solid in net in his second professional game this evening. He has really been the understudy early this season to Chase Perry, but both times in which the Mayhem have faced the Ice Flyers, Kupski's been the guy in net. Now here's Tyler Andrews from his own zone. Andrews from the blue line sent one past the stick of Cup all the way down, icing the call against Pensacola. They were found guilty of that infraction quite a bit during the first period of play. That icing call has been brought to you by Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Tyler Andrews, the culprit. Andrews, an Anchorage, Alaska native in his first professional season, graduated from St. Norbert last year, where he played his Division III college hockey. Josh Kuzno to take an offensive zone face-off against Matsushima. Puck's been one-handed out to the point, and Danny Caesar will just backpedal into his own zone and allow the 4-on-4 to expire. Both teams have returned to full strength, as Jimmy Soper and Matt Ustaski have been let out of the sin bins. Kuzno's pass was intended for Soper, and instead it bounced back to Smith, who will angle it up to Danny Caesar. The longtime Knoxville Ice Bear will twist one skillfully on the tape of Caleb Cameron, the forward converted to a defenseman for tonight's game. His shot is denied by the pads of Jake Kupski. The San Jose Sharks draft choice in the 2015 season. Played 4 seasons at Union College. Developed a lot of NHL talent over the years. Shane Gostisbehere, the offensive-minded defenseman for the Philadelphia Flyers, being one name that comes to mind. The two of them certainly would have interlapped at least a season or two while at Union. Puck's been rimmed around to the near side. The near half wall, Blake Young will exit his own zone across the blue line and out towards the red line. Lost the puck, and Keplinger will twist it back in. Kupski behind his net. He's got a man on both sides. He decides to just leave it off for Jesse Kessler. The primary assist man on Pensacola's last goal on the power play. He will fling the puck out to the Macon bench area. Goes off a skate, pinballs into the Macon slot, and it's worked up past Pawlowski all the way down. Pawlowski's pass misfiring, didn't quite reach Ortiz. As a result, an icing call is made. 18:21 to go in the third period. 2-2 is the score. The scoreboard still showing that we're in period 2. There will be a face-off that takes place to the right of Kevin Etma to follow. David Pawlowski to do the honors for Macon. Countered by Pensacola's Tommaso Bucci. Bucci, Pensacola's leading goal scorer coming into this tilt. 6 goals through 12 games. Clean defensive zone win by Pawlowski. It's been rimmed around by Smith. Keplinger will bounce one out past the opposing blue line. With it on his stick now in his own zone, Joseph Drapluk, another forward converted to a defenseman for tonight's tilt. Kevin Etma will halt the puck behind his own net. Campbell breaks it up the right side, and Stathis Sumalides will flutter a backhand saucer pass behind Stephen Pirog. Tyler Andrews takes over in front of his own net. He will advance it to Tommaso Bucci. Negotiates his way across the Macon blue line and passes it off the skates of Stephen Pirog. And the puck's been flung back to the line, held in nicely by Fraze. Kyle Fraze will put it into the circle. Garrett Milan twists with it. He wheels up into the high slot and fires, blocked by Campbell. Loose puck is played by Sumalides, left off for Campbell, who will advance it to Pirog. Pirog's pass reaches Sean Lynch on the left wing. Lynch will rattle it down in below the Pensacola goal line, and it's Tyler Andrews with it there. Here's Jarrett Cup, leaving it back to Oleg Kalaman. Cup redirects it out towards the red line, but it's intercepted by Pensacola's Patrick Meganetti. And he centers it, and they score. The point-blank shot by Eddie Matsushima, parked right out in front of Kevin Etma. And before I could even pronounce the gentleman's name properly, Eddie Matsushima was able to redirect Meganetti's pass into the back of the net. Pensacola has its first lead of the game, less than 3 minutes into the third period. 17:06 to go in the closing stanza. And for the first time tonight, the visitors lead. It's 3-2. Matsushima has been a Mayhem killer. This is just his second game against them this season. He's already got 5 points, 3 goals. He does lose the ensuing faceoff, however, to Josh Cousineau. Caleb Cameron back in his own zone. Angles it up the wall for Jimmy Soper. He will shovel it into the offensive zone, and Jake Kupski rattles it around the boards. Matsushima's pass is picked off by Cousineau. Good to know I'm not the only one having difficulty pronouncing Meganetti. Our public address announcer, Charles Olson, had a hard time as well. So here's Oleg Kalaman, far half wall in his own zone. Races out to the red line and just dumps it into the Pensacola end. He goes in, pressuring Kupski, who will shovel it around to the near half wall. Soper then steals it. Backhand shot from point-blank range by Pulowski, somehow denied by Kupski with the pad. Now it's Campbell. He angles it off the near corner boards. Timofeyev twists it in front. It's hacked out past the blue line, and Ben Campbell's got to race back to get it. Campbell in across the Pensacola blue line, eventually lost the puck. It's been played safely behind his own net by Brett DeAndrea. Angled up the half wall on the far side and swung this way for Tanner Fraze, who will rattle it counterclockwise around the end wall. Kevin Entma steers it behind his net, and now it's Larry Smith to Keplinger to Timofeyev. Now Jesse Kessler for Pensacola. Kessler from his own blue line angles it off the near side boards, missed everything, and it went the length for an icing call. Jesse Kessler, a very durable defenseman, the only right-handed natural blue liner on the ice tonight for Rod Aldoff and the Ice Flyers. He played in all 56 games for the Flyers last season and has played in all 12 this time around. He's got a power play assist tonight. Steven Pirog will take this face-off to Kupski's right. The puck drops, slides back to the blue line, and Kup's shot gets blocked by a Flyers stick. As such, we get a Blues painting and home repair flying puck out of play. 15:32 to go in the third. 3-2 Ice Flyers. Steven Pirog lines up for an offensive zone face-off against Matt Ustaski. Marcus Ortiz getting into a bit of a scrap with Blake Young on the onset of the draw. Puck drops. Pirog's been excellent on the face-off circle tonight. He wins another one. Cameron from the left point will advance it down the left boards. Marcus Ortiz having some difficulty with it, courtesy of Jesse Kessler. Jarrett Cup delivers it inside of the right corner, and Stathis Sumalitis has it pried off his blade. He goes after it, throws a hit on Blake Young, who tries to clear it. He's able to get it up to Ustaski, who flutters one into the glove of Ryan Marcuse. His pass goes off the skates of Ustaski. It was met by Caleb Cameron in the near corner. It's flung around the boards to Marcus Ortiz on the right half wall. He begins to motor out with it. His pass reaches Pirog. He slips through, gains the puck back in the left corner. Pirog pops it in behind the net and around the end wall. Jarrett Cup throws a hit on Ryan Marcuse in the far corner, and the puck squeaks up the wall. And now it's Garrett Milan for Pensacola. Open the scoring for the Ice Flyers tonight. He will advance it into the Macon zone, and Kevin Entma with his big goal stick on it will just float it out towards the red line, where it's been hammered back in by Tyler Andrews. So check that, 2 right-handed defensemen for Pensacola, Tyler Andrews being the other one to Jesse Kessler. Andrews advances it up to Tommaso Bucci, spins a pass to Garrett Milan. Soper leaves it for Cousineau, and now Smith has it in his own zone. Smith up to Cousineau. Cousineau up to Caesar, onside, right half wall, headed shot blocked as it bounces back out into the neutral zone. 6 minutes have expired here in the third period. The Ice Flyers with their first lead of this game, courtesy of a goal scored by Eddie Matsushima in the opening minutes of the third stanza. Puck's been rattled out in front of the player benches. Advanced into the Macon zone. Larry Smith kicks it up to his stick and retreats below his own goal line. Garrett Milan skates from the F1 position to the Pensacola bench to complete a line change. In the meantime, it's Caleb Cameron starting out with it. Up to the red line, will rattle it around the boards in clockwise fashion. It's stopped by Kupski behind his own net. Keplinger fights for it in the far corner, but escaping with it is Pensacola's Eddie Matsushima. Cameron throws a hit against Tanner Fraze. Matsushima pops one back up the slot. It's corralled by David Pulowski in stride. He eludes a swiping stick check by Tanner Fraze and carries into the far corner, then drops it to the line for Oleg Kalaman. Some more difficulty on that right side by all of Macon's left-handed defensemen. Very unnatural as a result. Kalaman had a hard time receiving that pass from Pawlowski. Jarrett Cupp has to race back into the far corner to get it. He slides it around the boards up to the near side. Pawlowski's clearing attempt finds Keplinger. Keplinger reaches Kalaman with the pass. Kalaman enters the zone and whacks a wrist shot at the net, and a quick glove save is made by Jake Kupski. So a late buzzer, a late whistle, stopping play. 12:43 to go in the third. 3-2 Pensacola. The Mayhem had not trailed in this game until the third period commenced, and shortly into the closing stanza, Pensacola tallied a quick strike. Eddie Matsushima striking just 2:54 into the closing period. Patrick Meganetti on the assist from a right corner pass in which he found Eddie Matsushima from point-blank range, who was just able to spear one past Kevin Etma and to give the Ice Flyers their first lead of this game. Quick look around the SPHL. Every team in this league is playing. Fayetteville dropped their home tilt against the Knoxville Ice Bears by a 4-1 score tonight. Knoxville continues to dominate in recent games. Birmingham still with a 1-goal lead, though now it's 2-1, not 1-0 anymore. Evansville still with a 1-0 lead over the Quad City Storm, and a scoreless stalemate continues in Peoria between the Huntsville Havoc and the Peoria Rivermen. That wraps up your out-of-town scoreboard update, brought to you by Hampton Inn and Suites. The Mayhem will go to another offensive zone draw. They've had tons of these throughout this game. And Stephen Pirog has done a good job in the face-off circle tonight, but the Mayhem have not very often been able to capitalize off of his wins in the face-off department in offensive zone situations. Fluttering puck bounces across the blue line, and Jarrett Cupp has to race back into his own territory to play it. He slides it over to Oleg Kalaman, up to Pirog, had one hand on his stick. Marcuse interrupted that. Here he comes in the counterattack. Left circle, spins with it, stays on his skates, works his way back up to the slot and leaves it off, and it's swung to Kessler at the right point. His wrister is off the mark. It caroms off the backboards to the far half wall. Sumilidis will scoop it up, and the check power forward from his off wing had his horizontal pass broken up by the forechecking Matt Ustaski. Hard to blame Sumilidis, the 6'5" power forward, able to get himself in the way of that pass. Sumilidis will get a second chance. He succeeds this time in getting it up to Lynch. Immediately whacked off his blade. Sumilidis recovers, gives it to Smith. His pass is redirected by Cousineau. Perhaps not. It must have missed his stick because icing is the call against Macon, and the Mayhem will have to stay out there, will not be allowed to change personnel. That icing call has been brought to you by Tropical Smoothie Cafe. 11:45 to go here in the third period. The Mayhem trailing by a score of 3-2. Gators just scored another touchdown, which excited next to nobody in this crowd. Josh Cousineau will take a defensive zone face-off to the left of Jake Kupski. The centering pass that works its way up to the slot. Backhand shot. Etma with a sprawling acrobatic save to rob Garrett Milan from the right side of the net. Excellent save by Kevin Etma. He was in position for the original pass, which was intended for Milan's line mate, Tommaso Bucci, but the pass went all the way through Bucci, up the slot, and Milan tried again to beat Etma from the backhand, and this time he was robbed by the Macon goaltender. Remember that save, folks. That could just be an enormous difference maker in this game. 11:37 to play. The Mayhem still within a goal. Milan will drop it to Andrews, whose shot sails over the crossbar. And Cousineau goes fighting for it. The puck is loose between the skates of Tommaso Bucci. Bucci tries to kick it up to his stick. Caesar can't clear the zone. Centering pass is intercepted by Campbell, who slides one down the ice into Pensacola territory. It's been chiseled back out to the red line. Campbell taps it into the Ice Flyers zone yet again. And here comes Pensacola out to center with it. Tommaso Bucci puts on the brakes and slides a pass through. It was intended for Meganetti, but it just missed him. Meganetti in the far corner. Put it behind the net, intercepted by Caleb Cameron. Cameron's pass reaches Jimmy Soper, who's typically his line mate, but is not tonight due to the positional change. Cameron will settle a bouncing puck near his own blue line and float it off the glass. Jumping Kyle Fraze prevented a potential breakaway from Soper. Now Campbell hustles back. Couldn't get inside positioning on the Pensacola forechecker. Meganetti is knocked down behind the Macon net. Cameron makes a skillful pass to spring one along for Ortiz. Now it's Josh Keplinger. He will shovel it into the right corner. Ortiz is first there, whacks it back behind the net. Keplinger's got it. Keplinger will cycle it to the line for Larry Smith, whose long point shot is gloved by Jake Kupski. 10-10 to go in the third. 3-2 Pensacola. I think it's probably fortunate that that 10 seconds was on the clock, because if this would have been a media timeout, it would have been another whistle. The Mayhem with a little bit of momentum here after that last minor offensive zone surge. We'll get another crack at Jake Kupski. Steven Pirog to take the offensive zone face-off against Matt Ustaski. Bit of a premature jump off the draw by Stathis Sumalitis. And the linesman, Venance Lorenz, has ordered Steven Pirog to exit the face-off circle. Sumalitis couldn't win the face-off in his place. Ryan Marcuse's clearing attempt is nullified by Pirog, who races over to the near side. But the puck's been cleared out to Larry Smith. It now flutters into the far half-wall area in the Macon zone. Jarrett Cupp's pass is intercepted. Opportunity here. Skitters just through the blue paint wide of the goal. Ustaski couldn't capitalize off the turnover, but he gets it right back in the circle and fires Entma the save, and we go to our second media timeout of period 3. 3-2 the score in favor of Pensacola. They have gotten the lone third period goal. Michael Ederer scoring in the second on the power play, and Eddie Matsushima striking in the third at even strength, assisted by Patrick Meganetti. We're going to take a brief pause on the Mayhem Broadcast Network, folks. We'll be back in just a moment. You're listening to Macon Mayhem Hockey on SPHL Live and on YouTube.
With fun for an upcoming birthday? Why not spend it right here with the Mayhem? The Tommy's Bakery and Cafe Birthday Suite is available right here at the Macon Centreplex for all home games during the 2019-20 season. The birthday suite comes chock full of benefits, including 12 tickets, a private suite area with a great view of the ice, donuts from Tommy's Bakery, a visit from Mac the Mascot, and a special present for the birthday child. All of this for just $250, with additional tickets available for $12 each. Visit MaconMayhem.com or call our office for more information.
So Bucci will attempt to best Steven Pirog in the near circle of the Macon zone in the face-off. It's won by Bucci and handled by Kessler at the right point. But we'll scale it down the adjacent wall. Sumalitis fights for it. Rather, that's Cameron. He has just cleared it out past his own blue line. Cameron gets it right back on his skates and flings it up to Pirog. Bounces to Timofeyev, centered for Pirog, who fires off the inside of the right elbow of the net. Close call for the Mayhem, but no cigar, as it's been worked in across the Macon blue line. Bucci will twist one back to Garrett Milan. Milan's got it on the half wall on the near side. He's shoved down to the ice by Stepan Timofeyev. Now here comes Soper in transition. And there's a scrap breaking out between Timofeyev and Garrett Milan, both undersized, but that's not stopping either one of them. Timofeyev throws in a right. Milan retaliates, both of them going at it, rights after rights. And finally, Milan goes down. Timofeyev gets in one last punch. That's the third fight of this game. And that's a close one, but I'm going to give the edge to Timofeyev in that little Donnybrook. And the young Russian just continues to do more and more to get himself into the fans' good graces here in Macon. For Pensacola, it was the first fight of the game not involving Craig Sescon. But their captain's really coming to the forefront on this last road trip of their, or last road game of their trip this weekend. They played last night in Birmingham. Sescon with 2 fights, and then Garrett Milan with the third. Both of whom wear a letter on their jersey. Oleg Kalaman from his own zone fires it off the stick of Caesar. It's taken away by Pensacola's Joseph Drapluk. There was a big hit over on the far half wall just outside of the Macon bench. Josh Kuzno splits the ice with a pass up the middle. That's redirected into the Pensacola zone by Danny Caesar. Tyler Andrews attempts to clear. It's played down by the glove of Jarrett Cupp. No offside as Kalaman takes over and gets it to Soper. Soper is able to dangle through beautifully and drop it off to the right point. Kuzno's pass goes all the way through. Bounces into the near circle. It's been cleared off the stick of Kalaman, who one-hands it across the ice to Jarrett Cupp. Cupp delays in his own zone. Begins the rush out of it and will cross the red line at center ice. He weaves wide, enters the Pensacola zone and fires off the glove of Kupski. Bounces into the far corner. Pawlowski fighting for it. 8 minutes remain here in the third period. The Mayhem still trailing by a goal. Puck's been whacked out of midair by Jarrett Cupp and down to Kalaman, who advances it into the Pensacola zone. Kalaman, after having gotten rid of it, will now skate to the Macon bench. Pawlowski forces a turnover. He centers it. A quick shot misses the right post coming from Keplinger. Now it's Ortiz. Pinned up to the far boards by Ryan Marcuse. Loose puck skitters its way to Ortiz, who overskates it a bit. And now it's Pawlowski from the circle. Had his shot blocked. It flutters into the near corner. Ortiz throws a hit. Continues to battle for it. It goes past Keplinger all the way out to the far side. Cameron's able to hold the puck alive, but it goes hotly off his skate. And now it's going to be skated out by Matt Ustaski, who fires from the right circle. That was a missile, but it was well wide of the goal. Ustaski will drop it to the line. Pinballs off of an Ice Flyers skate. An eventual one-timer taken by Young is denied by the blocker of Kevin Etma. It's been rattled back around the end wall. Out to the near side, Marcuse will drop it into the corner on the near side of the ice. Cameron takes a hit to make a play. He has advanced it up to Pirog, who drops it. He's behind Lynch. Turnaround shot fought off by Etma. The Mayhem on the second chance to clear it have done so. Sean Lynch racing after it. Sescon had a good step on him, and he blasts it back out to center. It's been floated in by Blake Young, who will now skate to the Ice Flyers bench to complete a quick fire wagon change. In the meantime, Ben Campbell assumes command of the puck behind his own net. Will slide it to his left for Jarrett Cupp. Cupp will fling one along up the wall for Sumalitis. Now to Pirog. Pirog enters the Ice Flyers zone. Delays, twists, and fires. It's stopped by Kupski in the butterfly. Sumalitis throws a huge check, far corner, and goes after the puck. He will try to slide it to the line for Campbell. Speared away from him all the way down into the Macon zone. Cupp is back to retreat it. 6:15 to go in the third. 3-2 Pensacola. The most recent goal being scored by Eddie Matsushima. Just 2 minutes plus into this period. Here's Soper in some open ice. Left circle. And a kick save is made by Kupski on his shot. He then floats it back to the line. It's outside of the reach of Josh Kuzno, who's going to have to double back into his own zone. He angles it to Ben Campbell off the boards. Campbell finds Cameron fresh off a line change. He will rattle it around the Pensacola end wall. Soper tries to cut off the clearing attempt by Andrews. Caesar now battling for it near corner. It trickles up the wall, and it's been chiseled out into neutral territory. Caleb Cameron covers a lot of ice to play the puck. Jimmy Soper bats it down. Looked like he was offside, nothing called. Soper cuts the net, shoots off the outside of the right post. Brilliant maneuvering by Jimmy Soper, nearly gave him a hat trick, but it just grazed the outside of the far post. And the poor puck luck continues here for the Mayhem. Soper's in a scrap right now with Patrick Meganetti. It's going on right in front of the Ice Flyers bench. I don't know if they'll register this as a fight. Jimmy Soper, with the way he's playing tonight, not sure why he would want to take himself out of the game. But that is what will happen. And if you're a Mayhem fan, you can really only hope that this is just a 2-minute offsetting roughing penalty and not a 5-minute fight, because Soper has been outstanding for the Mayhem tonight. They want him on the ice as much as possible. However, Pensacola losing a pretty important player as well, and Patrick Meganetti, who tallied 3 assists last Wednesday night, 3 days ago in Pensacola. 5:23 remains here in regulation time. The Mayhem again trailing by a single goal. They had not trailed until the third period, in which Patrick Meganetti set up the go-ahead goal scored by Eddie Matsushima, 2:54 into the stanza. There will be a face-off that takes place in front of the Pensacola bench on the far side of the ice. The Mayhem slowly running out of time here. They've had a couple of close calls, one coming off the stick of Steven Pirog, another coming off Jimmy Soper's stick, both of whom have drawn iron in this period, but didn't get the puck to bounce the right way. So the faceoff is now being moved into the far circle of the Pensacola zone, so an offensive zone opportunity for Macon. David Pulowski will take this face-off, and Pensacola captain Craig Sescon ordering his players where to go. Pulowski against Ustaski. Say that 5 times fast. Won by Ustaski, and here comes Kyle Fraze for Pensacola. He gains the red line and sends it into the right corner of the Macon zone. It's rattled around the boards by Jarrett Cupp. Ustaski will fling one back to Sescon. He will fire a wrist shot off, blocked by Pulowski. Sescon back on it, will rim one in behind the net. It's Ustaski trying to gain some separation. The ex-Wisconsin Badger will float it back to the point. And the return goes past Ustaski all the way down in behind the net, and it's Blake Young with it. Blake Young, far circle, loses the puck. Josh Keplinger in the counterattack. Will just pass one to himself off the boards on the far side and motor down the left wing. Josh Keplinger advancing it to Pirog, whose shot is punched away by Kupski. There's an opportunity for Keplinger on the turnaround bid, denied by Kupski at the side of his goal. Pirog in the far corner, gets some room, sets up Keplinger behind the goal. He looks to tuck it in from the side of the net. Sprawling Kupski's got it, and a quick whistle has blown the play dead. Pirog and Keplinger in an entanglement with a bunch of ice flyers down there following that sprawling stop made by Kupski. I'm not sure if there will be a penalty on this play. Kevin Etma scurried straight to the Macon bench, though that could be because of the media timeout. He knew it was coming. So I believe that is the case. 4:23 to go here in the third period. The Mayhem trailing by a goal. 3-2 your score in favor of Pensacola. This game was tied at the end of the first. It was tied at the end of the second. If the Mayhem want it to be tied at the end of the third, they're really going to have to bear down in the next 4:23. Pensacola, a notoriously difficult team to score against, particularly down at the hangar in Pensacola. However, this season, still third in the SPHL overall in goals allowed per game at just 2.6. What's even more impressive is the amount of shots they've allowed. A league low, 23.7 per game. That's a statistic that doesn't necessarily favor their goaltenders, as more shots typically means a higher save percentage. So Stephen Pirog against Tommaso Bucci. That was our final media timeout of this game. Far circle won by Bucci in the draw. Ben Campbell steps in, forces the issue. Loose puck skitters its way to Sean Lynch, who sets up Cameron, whose wrister pinballs wide of the goal, trickles into the near corner. The battle ensues, and a cross check from behind by Jesse Kessler will give the Mayhem a power play as Campbell twists and concedes possession to the Mayhem. Will go back to the man advantage. It was Sean Lynch who was cross-checked from behind into the boards by Jesse Kessler on the near side. And Lynch now skating over to the Macon bench to be tended to by the Mayhem trainer. And Kessler is a very important defenseman for Rod Aldoff, who will not be available for the next couple of minutes. The Mayhem will go to a huge power play. They converted on their last one. Both teams 1 for 3 tonight on the man advantage. Pensacola's penalty kill coming into this game, 80% on the dot. That has since dropped marginally since Macon's last power play goal. Again, they are 1 for 3 on the evening. Just over 4 minutes remain. It will be interesting to see whether Ryan Michael decides to pull Kevin Etma. Sean Lynch has just skated down the Macon tunnel, so we hope he's okay, folks. It wouldn't surprise me if he was bleeding from his face. This could be more than 2 minutes. And that's why, right now, Stathis Sumalitis and Craig Sescon, the emissaries from their respective teams, are discussing the decision with Scott McClement and both linesmen. This could very well be longer than 2 minutes. Sean Lynch was bleeding out of his face due to a cross-check from Jesse Kessler from behind into the boards, and I think Kessler's very fortunate. This is only going to be 2 minutes. That was a dangerous play by Jesse Kessler. Could have been called multiple things. He's had a strong game tonight, but I think just in that scrap, hockey is such a heat-of-the-moment kind of game. He wasn't really thinking. He was just trying to fight hard for that puck. Timofeyev holds the line. He will set up Caleb Cameron at the right point. He wheels into the deep slot, feeds it to Pirog. He snaps a shot off, blocked in front by the traffic. Pulowski was setting a screen, and it's just been cleared all the way down into Macon territory. Stepan Timofeyev receives the pass from his goaltender, Kevin Entma. He will work his way down the right wing side and enter the Pensacola zone. Delivers it behind the Ice Flyers net. Timofeyev fighting for it. Loose puck's been picked up and cleared all the way down. Entma out of his net. Stopped it from going outside of the trapezoid area where it would have been illegal to play. And he will just drop it now for Jarrett Cupp with 3:25 to go. A minute 20 on this power play, brought to you by Wild Wing Cafe. The Mayhem 1 for 3 on the night on the man advantage as Jarrett Cupp steps out from in behind his own net, sends it right up the middle. Sumalitas twists it to Keplinger on the tape. He enters the attacking zone. Keplinger is ridden into the corner boards by Tyler Andrews. Loose puck is scooped up by Pensacola's Blake Young. Young has advanced it up to Ryan Marcuse, who will calmly and collectedly just skate it down the left side and deposit it behind the Macon goal line. Play continues here as Macon begins the breakout. Jarrett Cupp to his left for Pulowski, in across the Pensacola line, returns it for Cupp, who's well covered. Ortiz follows up and fires right into the shin pads in front of him. He gets back on it, floats it back to Cupp, who couldn't hold it at the blue line. Cupp twists it now to Keplinger in the neutral zone. He backpedals into his own end, floats it ahead to Pulowski. Pulowski's pass reaches Josh Cousineau, who stick handles away from some traffic. It flutters back into Pulowski's glove. He will settle it down and slide it to Jarrett Cupp. Cupp will float one, far circle. Josh Cousineau pumps it in behind the net. It escapes the reach of Pulowski. A dozen seconds on this power play, which has not yielded very many scoring opportunities. It finds Jarrett Cupp at the blue line. He will feed it to Ortiz. His shot stopped by Kupski, steered wide into the corner. It's been blasted all the way down, and the Ice Flyers have returned to full strength. The Mayhem dropping to 1 for 4 on the power play tonight. In the meantime, they have just a minute and 54 seconds left to tie this game. Caleb Cameron races ahead with it. Enters the Ice Flyers zone with a full head of steam. Loses the puck into the half wall on the near side, and the Ice Flyers will carry it out of harm's way. It's brought down the near wing by Joseph Drapluk. He will drop it off for Tommaso Bucci. He returns it past Drapluk into the far corner near the body armor dasher. And Drapluk's pass goes down the far half wall, picked off by Sumalitas, who will chisel one ahead. He springs Pirog. He's got it. Right circle. Toe drag and a shot. Stopped. Big rebound. Pirog's second shot is denied by Kupski. Entma skates to the Macon bench, and the Mayhem will get a sixth attacker for the next minute and 24 seconds. Excellent effort made by the Macon captain. A good toe drag and a shot from the right circle, and a rebound was conceded by Kupski, and while diving, Pirog fired again, hoping to squeak it through the paraphernalia of the Pensacola goaltender, but couldn't do it. The Mayhem going with 6 attackers on the ice. The face-off will be to the right, I beg your pardon, to the left of Kupski after this timeout, which was just called by the Mayhem head coach Ryan Michael. He's drawing up a play right now on the Macon bench. He was a brilliant player during his tenure with the Macon Mayhem during his 2 seasons. He's one of the top defensemen in the history of the franchise. Helped lead the Mayhem to a President's Cup championship back in 2017. The 27-year-old just in his 4th game as the Mayhem head coach. Known for his high hockey IQ and his analytical approach to the game. He's going to certainly have something up his sleeve for the next minute and 24 seconds. 6-on-5 is something that is seldom practiced during the week. Leo Thomas himself said so. It's not something that typically takes high precedence in terms of things that need to get done during the week, practice-wise. One would think it's an important scenario to practice, but when all those other things come to mind, like your power play and your penalty kill and small area games, obviously 5-on-5 play, it's tough to squeeze in the 6-on-5. The Ice Flyers winning the defensive zone draw, but Cousineau forcing a turnover behind the opposing net. He escapes with it, far corner. Couldn't work it back to the point. And it's Sumalitas turning with it. He will slide it to the line. Nice pass. Here's a wrist shot. Blocked. Pinballs around just wide of the net. Sumalitas outside of the hash marks on the far circle is pinned up to the far corner boards now. Puck is pried free by Cousineau, who will reverse it in below the net. Far corner. Caesar Sent it behind the goal. Tyler Andrews' clearing attempt fails, courtesy of Pirog, who will drop it back down the boards. It escapes his reach, bounces over his stick. Now it's Cameron near his own blue line. 45 seconds. Caleb Cameron's pass, ricocheted off the stick of Pirog, floats into the near corner, and it's been blasted around the boards by Kessler. Took a bounce off a partition. Pulowski holds the line, and now it's Caesar. Dispossessed of it by Brett DeAndre in the near corner. Pops free, Keplinger. Can't do much with it. Caesar leaves it for Pulowski, who's well covered. It skitters back to the top of the circle, and Garrett Milan has a chance at the empty net. He's defended by Ortiz. He shoots and scores. Garrett Milan has just iced the game with his second goal of the night, and that's going to do it. The Ice Flyers will skate away with a 4-2 victory here on WWE Night. Disappointing result for a Mayhem team which really battled from start to finish tonight. They played a pretty darn good game. They led Pensacola on 2 separate occasions but couldn't come away with the win. They will drop to 3-9-2. Pensacola will improve to 9-3-1. And Macon's early season woes will continue here. Timofeyev with a 100-foot shot that was sticked away by Kupski. And that'll just about do it, folks, from the Macon Centreplex. Macon dropping its first 2 games of the season to Pensacola, first on the road, then at home. The Ice Flyers take all 6 points on the week. They won on Wednesday night on Thanksgiving Eve. They won last night in Birmingham and won tonight in Macon. The empty net goal making the score 4-2 in favor of the Ice Flyers. And Macon has dropped on the season to a record of 3-9-2. This is a team that has really struggled closing out games this season, folks. They've gotten off to a lot of good starts and have really kept games close. They've not really been blown out yet. All season, the closest thing the Mayhem have had to a blowout was in Pensacola probably last weekend, which was a 2-goal game until the empty netter. They have not lost a game by more than 3 all season. They've been virtually in every single game for the majority of every single game. And it's just another tough pill to swallow here at the Macon Centreplex. I think part of the issue is the team just being so short-handed, especially in the defensive department. Only 4 natural defensemen, all of whom shoot left-handed. And those plays along the right boards have been awkward and have caused a lot of turnovers to happen. But more than that, just you're seeing the fatigue start to set in during the third periods of games. And obviously Pensacola was going to be a team that was fatigued tonight. They couldn't quite bring what they normally could during the third period. They played last night, played Wednesday night, had Thanksgiving on Thursday. It's been a long week for them, but they still had more left in the tank in the third period than the Mayhem did. And the results show, folks. In the third period this season, the Mayhem have been outscored now 19-10. By far the worst margin. First period and second period have both been relatively close to the mean. A differential of -3 in the first period and -2 in the second period this season. In the third, it's been a -9. So without a doubt, that has been their greatest struggle. It's a struggle that has continued really from the first game until now, virtually throughout all of Macon's first 14 games this season. The good news is there's obviously plenty of time to turn this around, and the issues are pretty self-evident. It's clear where the team's problems lie right now, and it's just a matter of starting to fix them. And this is a team that is obviously much too talented to have the record that it does right now. And the record that it has, a 3-9-2, certainly does not do the team justice. It doesn't do the team justice in terms of the talent on the roster, but more importantly, it doesn't do the team justice in terms of the way they've played. They certainly do not deserve to have a record of 3-9-2, but that's where they're at, and they've got to figure out a way to close out games in a stronger fashion than they have. 4-2 the final in favor of the Pensacola Ice Flyers. The Mayhem again dropping to a record of 3-9-2. They stay at 9th place in the SPHL, 2 points ahead of the 10th place Roanoke Rail Yard Dogs, 3 points behind Evansville and Quad City, who right now have 11. We'll give you one last look around the SPHL for your final Hampton Inn & Suites out-of-town scoreboard update before we let you folks get going and enjoy the rest of your post-Thanksgiving weekend. Again, Knoxville in Fayetteville tonight. The Bears beating the Marksmen by a 4-1 score. Birmingham with a 3-2 advantage over the Roanoke Rail Yard Dogs. That game has now concluded as well, so just about every road team tonight has had a lot of luck. Evansville up 4-0 in Quad City against the Storm, and a Huntsville-Peoria clash in the middle of Illinois, still deadlocked at a scoreless stalemate. That wraps up your final out-of-town scoreboard update of this game, brought to you by Hampton Inn & Suites. We'll revisit what happened in this game quickly and then let you get going. Jimmy Soper opened the scoring halfway through the first period, returning from a 3-game hiatus in which he was in Canada attending to a personal family matter. He came back and did so with aplomb. 2 goals in the first 2 periods. We'll get to his second in a moment. Garrett Milan with a highlight reel goal, 16:40 into the period 1. Tied things up heading into the first intermission. Then on the power play, Jimmy Soper received a centering pass by his captain, Stephen Pirog, and his alternate, Stathis Sumilidis. Soper tucked it into the right post, beating Jake Kupski. That would be the last time he was beaten all game. A power play strike from number 13 in blue. Michael Ederer answered with a power play tally of his own. Just a minute and a second later, Garrett Milan, Eddie Matsushima were given the assists, but it should have been Jesse Kessler and Garrett Milan, if I'm not mistaken. Kessler played give and go with Pensacola goal scorer Michael Ederer. It was his second of the season. He just snapped it through the paraphernalia of Kevin Etma, who otherwise played a pretty solid game. Pensacola iced the game late in period 3 with an empty net strike with 17 seconds left. But before that, Eddie Matsushima continues the hot stick against Macon. Last weekend, or I beg your pardon, on Wednesday night, Matsushima had 4 points, a pair of goals, a pair of assists. The highest scoring game of his professional career, and then again tonight he ended up with the game-winning goal, his 5th on the season, team-leading 15th point. Eddie Matsushima scoring the GWG tonight for Rod Aldoff and the Ice Flyers. That wraps things up from here, folks. Alex Von Coda, the voice of your Mayhem, happy to have you with us for our 14th game of the 2019-20 regular season. We hope you enjoyed the broadcast. If you're a Mayhem fan, in spite of the outcome, one more time, the Ice Flyers with 4, counting that empty net tally from Garrett Milan, and the Mayhem with 3. We'll be right back at it. Next Friday night, the Mayhem make a trip up to southwestern Indiana to take on the Thunderbolts on Friday, December 6th, followed shortly thereafter by a quick turnaround the following night. On Saturday, December the 7th, they will host Fayetteville, so that'll be a rough couple of games, a long trip back from Evansville to host Fayetteville the following night. I imagine Coach Michael will give them that morning skate off before they host the Fayetteville Marksmen. So next Saturday night, again, folks, Teacher Appreciation Night. We hope to see you out here at the Macon Centreplex. For tickets, just call our office, 478-803-1592, or just visit our website, maconmayhem.com, and you can purchase them through Ticketmaster, or, of course, just swing by the box office the day of the game. Till then, so long, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.